o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Coffee? Check. Partisan hack talking points? Nope, not here. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Happy Tax Day, everybody. Yeah, it's that time of the year here. I guess the better way to put it is it's Tax Day. My condolences. All right, either way, it is Wednesday morning. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your day here. I'm Mike Ferguson, of course. I want to point out, and, obviously we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast. One of the conversations we had on yesterday's program, I really hope that people listen to and really consider. Dr. Everett Piper, he's a Washington Times columnist and, former university president. Solid conservative, and he is in the Christian conservative camp of that. And we had that discussion on Tuesday's show about the reaction to Donald Trump's ridiculous messianic post that he put out there, and he took down since then. And the question as to whether or not conservatives should be pushing back against Trump when he does those things that just kind of really irritate the people of faith and cross some lines in a lot of people's eyes. And Dr. Everett Piper made the case that, yes, even the president's supporters, especially the president's supporters, should be the ones to push back and call him out when he crosses those lines. So check out that podcast and put it up on your social media. Send it to your friends. Get some conversations going on it. All right, we also talked to our friend Tony Kinnett from the Daily Signal. We have 4 members of Congress on their way out. 2 have already announced they're quitting amid the scandals, and 2 others are facing possible expulsion. So are we finally demanding more of our leaders? Well, let's not go that far. But here's what Tony had to say.
I'm going to bring this vote next week. If Democrats want to protect this type of garbage, I wouldn't recommend it, but they're going to be put on the board for that. I'm tired of this. I'm not going to serve with these sexual deviants. That's not what Congress is all about. And I think that we need to focus on the business of the American people, and it doesn't include this stuff. So let's get rid of them.
Yeah, well, maybe that is kind of what Congress has become all about, it seems, these days. At this point, that was Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna on Jesse Waters' Primetime last night. So we're losing at least 2 sleazy Congress critters, but hey, it's in bipartisan fashion. So yay, bipartisanship. They're joined now by Tony Kinnett from the Daily Signal, Tony Kinnett Show in the podcast, of course. So Tony, it's not just a matter of we're trading one of theirs for one of ours. At some point, things are even too sleazy for Washington, D.C. I would love to say that morality and principles are making a comeback in the swamp, but I've been around long enough. I don't think that's the case. But is there something different about this situation? 4 members of Congress, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats facing expulsion. 2 of them have already said, all right, I'm out. I'm bailing, Gonzalez and Swalwell, because it turns out they're just incredibly creepy, sleazy guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to level with you here right off the top of the bat. So obviously Sheila Sherfilis McCormick from Florida, Democrat, the lady who thinks FEMA is her own personal piggy bank. And then, of course, Corey Mills, Republican over in the Florida side of things. And again, also really skeezy, got married in the Al-Qaeda mosque. Those 2 will have their day in the sun. But of course, when we're talking about Eric Swalwell and the sexual misconduct, hey, on the bright side, I've seen a lot of commentary, a lot of pundits saying this is really bad. Look, since his sexual assault and targeting young women is now in the open, Ro Khanna can bring him as a guest to State of the Union, since those are the kinds of guests Ro Khanna brings. So it's not like Eric Swalwell is not going to be around for the State of the Union anymore. Let's look at the bright side.
Yeah, and Swalwell, up until about 2.5 minutes ago, was the front runner in the California race for governor. So California governor, Democrats look at that as one of the launching pads to the presidency. And then he gets hit hard by life, going from I could very well be the next governor and the nominee in 2032 to I'd better create a LinkedIn and come up with a job.
Yeah, I do love the open to work border on his profile. I'm appreciative. Also, it's amazing how fast that believe all women hashtag evaporated like Thanos snapped his fingers. And actually, I thought of y'all as soon as we saw the Swalwell announcing that he was being called to step down for the governor's race, because we've talked previously about those who will step down from campaigns like Tim Walz. They're like, I'm no longer running for governor of Minnesota. But in the meantime, they'll get up in front of you and say, but I'm still going to be the governor of Minnesota there in the meantime. Swalwell, for at least a couple of days, was like, yeah, I'm okay to keep sitting in Congress. And all of those people who called on him to resign as governor were not those who were quick to say, hey, maybe you should step down from Congress. So again, it's just funny to see what Hakeem Jeffries can and can't stomach. It's very, very selective. You got body slamming LaMonica McIver, the Kool-Aid man. Oh, yeah, to his right. And then to his left, he's got the FEMA piggy bank girl or the mortgage fraud lady. I mean, man, what a cast of characters.
Yeah, could you be a little more specific? No, anyway, but there's just too many of them. But here's the thing is that a lot of times these politicians, I'm going to say politicians, they can be a Republican, they can be a Democrat, they just assume, if there's going to be a storm, write it out, media, and we'll move on to something else. Voters will figure out that they can focus on somebody else, and then with Gonzalez and with Swalwell, they figured out, oh, crap, we're not riding this one out.
Yeah, and I appreciate all of the equations from all sides of the aisle here, because no one really quite knows how to deal with this in the meantime. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I see half of the people who really want to defend Swalwell saying, well, at least no one died. It was all consensual. And then the other side are saying, well, but Tony Gonzalez was consensual. His lady was very, very young. It's all the same. Stop it. You don't have to get out there and make equations. You know what? Here's a cool idea. When you're married, don't have sex with other people. The more you know, from NBC flashing across the screen with a shooting star. Don't be a whore. More after this.
Yeah, it would be that simple. You would think, yeah. And here's the thing. And we're visiting with Tony Kennett from obviously Daily Signal, Tony Kennett Show. We've already tagged you on our social media. Hopefully people are following you through our broadcast here as well. I would love to think, like I said a little bit ago, that there's this new upswing in principles and morality. I'm not dumb enough to actually think that. And then you look at the Swalwell situation, which Gonzalez, I think we may have reached the end of how bad this is, and it was really bad. With Swalwell, we may just be opening up how bad this is, and the fact, Tony, that there are people who are now kind of saying, yeah, we knew this was going on. We knew he was like this, but they wouldn't say anything because then you're messing with the machine, and you don't want the machine to mess with you, which shows you another layer of the entire problem.
I think it's more the kid who asks for homework. Seriously, I think that's more what happens is that everyone kind of agrees, hey, no one asks for homework and we're all going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that one kid goes, teacher, are we going to have any homework today? Then the whole class gets homework. Kind of the same thing. As soon as Swalwell, who's running for a major position in which large sexual scandals matter, in a highly contested race in which it's a three-way tie at 10%, he wasn't Mr. Super Leader man he was claiming to be. And he was likely to help the Democrats screw themselves all over by jungle primarying until you had Steve Hilton and the sheriff on the Republican side, who were the only two choices in the general, because that's how the California primary system works. It was rigged to benefit Democrats unless you have a bunch of Democrats trying to fit through the door at Golden Corral all at once. And then Republicans end up slinging on through. So they had to get rid of Swalwell. I think it's very clear this was an op by Katie Porter, who, given her glass house of a political career and how she abuses her staffers, none of, throwing boiling mashed potatoes notwithstanding, she should really be a little more careful about throwing those stones. But once you get it out of the box and say, hey, I don't like this standard, well, all of a sudden, all of these other cases that you've been sort of looking past because I've been too busy, well, now you kind of actually have to do something about it. And Republicans would be more than happy to get rid of Corey Mills and Tony Gonzalez, to get rid of 2, 3, 4 of those, dust bunnies on the Democrat side of the aisle.
Yeah, and it makes it a little bit easier when you basically have a proportional war of attrition, getting rid of an equal number of Republicans and Democrats. At some point, there's going to be a question as to, do you do the right thing, even if it means taking a vote off the board on your side? And to their credit, the Republicans, have done that a couple of times, but there's a massive amount of political pressure to find a solution to that sort of thing. And I think that there's an increasing number of voters, Tony, who are just saying, no, we're done with the garbage. Well, first of all, we could stop electing these people to Congress, but hey, that's too simple of a solution for that sort of thing. But at some point, people are saying, I want accountability, but I'm also been around long enough to know that that can dissolve before election season when the fear mongering really starts.
And I say this as a Cards fan, and again, I would also say as a Hoosier, but I know that's a slur in St. Louis. Yeah. So as a Cards fan, after the third season, in which it's just loss after loss after loss, I no longer care. I no longer have any affection for individual players, coaches, whatever. Fix the team. Fix the team. I don't care. Fix the team. Oh, you're the beloved shortstop, but no, fix the team. Get out of here. Screw off. I don't care. That's how fans of a team are. And in this case, you see the same in Congress. I don't care. Look, oh, you're on my side of the aisle. Oh, I don't care. You're annoying. You're weighing us down. I'm sick and tired of dealing with you every morning. All the guys at basic training, give the guy a sock party, hit him with the soap and the sock, and then we call it a day because I'm not dealing with this forever. That's what voters are like. They're just tired, and they don't care if, well, maybe, he's on our team. No, Screw off. I don't like you anyway. Get out of here. You're dragging us down. I have other things to do.
Yeah, there's a political equivalent of like what you said, fix the team, fix the Cardinals. And then there are people who would do the equivalent of, well, that must mean you like the Cubs. If you want, no, it means we want our team to get better is what that means, so that we're better than the Cubs or everybody else. And that's one of the things that drives me nuts is, hey, somebody on our side is doing something bad. They're doing something big government. They're doing something unconstitutional. They're doing something really skeezy that's affecting other people. Well, then I guess you want the Democrats to it. No, I want the right to be better and be principled so that we can lead and fix the problems here.
I want you to stop having the massive amounts of clotted, saggy weight because I want to go walking with you. I don't want you to sit back lying on the ground dying of type 2. I mean, I don't care. I was like, you don't ever criticize the right. Why? Why would I do that? If I have friends and they're doing something that's wrong, God would hope that I might tell them there's something wrong, so that I either seeing something they don't, save them from an end that they're walking into, or B, so that thing does not permanently annoy me until the end of time and leave me extremely, extremely bitter over it. Same with the Trump Jesus picture stuff over the weekend. I'm sorry. I'll criticize. He shouldn't have done that. I'm not going to make it a huge deal because I always call balls and strikes. And that makes me a happier person because I'm not trying to do mental gymnastics as to what I am and am not defending.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that you hate your team or you hate your side or you don't.
Not even a little.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you disagree with. I mean, there's things I disagree with President Trump on, the things I think he gets right. But we just had a conversation earlier. I'll send it to you. I think you might find it interesting with Everett Piper, who said we have a duty to be pushing back and calling out when people on our side cross lines because it's more effective, among other reasons, when we do it than when the other side does it, because that's just tribalism instead of anything principle based.
Again, because of analogies and man of analogies, former teacher, it's kind of how I think and feel. So when the reason that I complained a lot in the sequel Star Wars movies is not because I hated Star Wars. People who think that are retarded. Instead, I, yours truly, complained because I said, wow, we have a time when the original actors are about to die and when we have the best visual technology ever. If we complain about things we don't like, maybe, God willing, they'll make a movie that doesn't suck. And eventually, finally, we got this Andor, the TV show, which is the best Star Wars product in years. And it was only through a lot of the complaining and saying, hey, you know what I don't want? Hot garbage, that we got something good. And believe it or not, I think the Republican Party trimming out the Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens filth, we're starting to actually get to some decent stuff. And yeah, getting all of the man whores and lady whores out of the party, that's a fun benefit bonus as your local indie fundy Baptist. I certainly am not going to say shucks when the infidelity crowd gets launched in a catapult towards Canada.
Okay, so then what do we do, just us plebes out here in flyover country, what do we do to keep that pressure on?
So this is literally what drives everything that I'm doing. You guys over in St. Louis, I over a little down on I-70 towards a Greenfield outside of Indianapolis. I am focused on encouraging people to get involved at the primary level and hold Republican club meetings that aren't awful. Not a bunch of elderly folks sitting there going, I'd like to bring the order, the permit. No, don't do that crap. Go and have a beer and some wings with some of those that you like in the community and get involved at that level. And that kind of long-term building genuinely creates movements that we saw, the persistence movement after Biden won, that actually created a huge amount of momentum that ended up flipping the entire state of Pennsylvania, or the Commonwealth, excuse me. That's the kind of stuff that matters. Not taking everything seriously. You need the older generation to constantly remind the younger people that it's not all over. We're not all going to die. believe it or not, that is a thing you have to remind the younger folks of. And then at the same time, you need the younger folks telling the old people, well, things aren't always as easy and fresh and wonderful as perhaps things may have been for you. So you do need that kind of like fostering of community. And I think that's probably where things are headed, because people thinking that the federal government and the president can just executive order our way out of everything forever, that ain't tenable.
Yeah, you had me at beer and wings. Just saying.
My boy.
All right, this being Wednesday, you know what that means. That means that we now start collecting requests for Flashback Friday bump music. All right, you want to hear some bump music from the 80s this Friday? Send it to Jerome. Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, or just post it in the social media comments here or the chat box on Rumble. Here's my challenge. You haven't sent in a request yet, but you dig the Flashback Fridays? Make this the week that you send something in. Once again, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com. You can send it to me, Mike at NewsTalkSTL.com, but I'm just going to forward it to Jerome anyway. So let us know, what do you want to hear this week on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime,
Everywhere.
anywhere.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is a free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect our valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines, and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the next round of accusations against Eric Swalwell dropped. Susie was hinting at this yesterday.
Oh,
the story did break, and it's ugly. I mean, it's ugly.
I was not expecting it to be pretty, but when you say the new ones are even uglier, that's not good.
Yeah, and here's the thing is that we should be shocked at this, but with all the stories coming out about Eric Swalwell, we can't be shocked. Yeah. And notice I'm not talking about Democrat Eric. I'm just talking about the guy who was this close to being not necessarily a shoo-in, but the favorite to be the next governor of one of the most populous and most powerful states in the nation. So this is really, really ugly. It is 5:55 right now. We're going to hear from the alleged victim in the news dump at 7:04 as well. But one of her attorneys, his name is Eric Fudali. He's trying to kind of get out in front of I guess you guys want to get rid of a political opponent. Here's what he had to say.
This is not about Democrat versus Republican. This is about accountability versus silence. This is not about the pursuit of governor. This is about the pursuit of justice.
And that was from a press conference that they had when they announced the accusations. And the victim, the alleged victim, is working with law enforcement. I don't know how strong her case is going to be because she didn't go into the hospital or get a rape kit or anything like that. But we'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well. Chris Harps and I, and of course, Chris's bride, Becky, we were at the Vitae Foundation banquet last night. Brandon Tatum, Officer Brandon Tatum was the keynote speaker at it. And actually, we caught up with him afterwards. And so here in the 6 o'clock hour, our conversation with Brandon Tatum is going to be on. It was really a great event right at the Plaza Frontenac. Obviously a fundraiser for the Vitae Foundation, but they do such great work that I just wanted to highlight them as well because, there's a lot of different elements of the pro-life movement. Missouri Right to Life actually saw Steve Rupp from President Missouri Right to Life. He was there last night. They obviously handled the campaign for Amendment 3 and the policy work and the political work. Reach Reproductive Health does such great work medically, both physically and emotionally supporting women. Vitae does so much research and messaging. They're helping to change hearts and minds, and we'll talk about that more at 6:20.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
When the storm hits and a tree comes down, you need someone you can trust right now. OLI Outdoor Services in Godfrey is on call 24/7 for emergency tree removal, trimming, stump grinding, and land clearing. Serving Illinois and Missouri with licensed, insured professionals and over 200 years of combined experience. Tree removal starting at just $2.99. Free estimates, plus financing. Visit OLIOutdoorServices.com or call 1-888-5-SAWING.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit MagicExpeditions.com. That's MagicExpeditions.com.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
This hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. The next round of U.S.-Iran peace talks could, according to President Trump, happen soon. Over the next 2 days, to quote the president, diplomats now working behind the scenes to arrange those discussions. They could be held in Islamabad again, or perhaps this time in Geneva. The United States and Iran also reportedly have an agreement in principle to extend the 2-week ceasefire, currently due to expire in a week, in order to allow for additional diplomacy. Israel and Lebanon have been talking, engaged in U.S.-mediated discussions in Washington, their first diplomatic talks in decades. The Lebanese government hopes the talks will lead to an end to the war, which has killed more than 2,000 people in Lebanon. Hezbollah is skeptical, believing that Lebanon lacks adequate leverage. Israel continues its military campaign in southern Lebanon. It's looking to create a security zone against future terrorist attacks. Congressional Republicans forging ahead with a go-it-alone strategy for fully funding the Department of Homeland Security.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune says that Republicans will try to pass the money for ICE and Customs and Border Protection, quote, the hard way. That means bypassing Democrats who have kept DHS shut down for almost 2 months and stalled bipartisan negotiations. Thune says Republicans are instead preparing a partisan bill that they'll try to pass under a complicated, time-consuming maneuver called budget reconciliation that only requires a simple majority vote in the 53-47 Senate. Ken Lorman reporting.
A stubborn weather pattern is funneling hot air into the eastern U.S., threatening to shatter record highs. Cities like New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta experiencing the unusual April heat. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures down 41 points, and NASDAQ futures are off 24. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's something most people don't know. When Warren Buffett was just 13 years old, he didn't put his money into a savings account. While other kids were earning next to nothing at local banks, Buffett put $114 into a little-known investment. Today, that $114 would be worth over $15 million. And it wasn't a risky trade, it wasn't insider knowledge. It was an account that's been around since 1888, and over the last 25 years, it's averaged 29% a year. That's what happens when your money is allowed to compound. Compare that to today's savings account, paying less than 0.5%, while inflation quietly eats away at your buying power. Buffett understood early, banks are great businesses, just not for savers. If you'd like to see what some investors call the 29% account, go now to ask29account.com. That's ask29account.com. Ask29account.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs towards the lower 80s. A first alert weather day has been issued, as we could see the possibility of some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours, lasting from 2 o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michaels Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michaels has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
On this date, 1,500 died on a luxury cruise. The story behind the story, the Titanic.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, Sam Page is suing, and he wants a ruling against something that has not happened.
What?
Yeah.
I need
He's
to
like,
know
but
more.
somebody might do something, and I want a judge to say that that was wrong, the thing that they didn't do.
I need to know more.
Yes. Well, you're about to.
Okay.
Because that's what we do here.
Oh, yeah. Inform. We inform.
That's right. We fully inform and slightly annoy. That's just what we do.
And often entertain.
I hope so.
Yes.
All right. And new accusations against Eric Swalwell. Disturbing, and I hate to say this part, not shocking.
No.
Disturbing, but not shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should be shocking, but they're not shocking. All right. And the Cardinals go to extra innings again. They've had a lot of extra innings games for this early in the season. So we'll tell you how that one worked out. All right. 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and get started with the news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. Sam Page is suing, saying the county charter should not be followed while he's on an upcoming international trip. Yep. Okay. And you're like, okay, more, please. That's not telling me anything. Okay. So the charter and related county ordinance say that the county council chair is basically the acting executive when the executive is unavailable or otherwise unable to perform their duties,
Okay.
right? That's nothing unusual with most
Right.
most body politics. So Page is scheduled to fly to England this weekend, and he is suing, asking a court to block Councilwoman Rita Hurd Days from becoming the acting executive and taking any action if she chose while he's out of the country.
But why, though?
Yeah, here's part of what he said.
Well, the county council is attempting to do something that's never been done before in the history of the county, and that is seizing executive authority while the county executive is still in office.
Okay, I listen, we know that I don't like Sam Page. Okay.
This is news to me.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't either.
Yeah, his argument is that, you know what, he's accessible by phone anywhere in the world, and he says if the court does not rule in his favor and basically issue a preemptive injunction against her doing anything as acting executive, then he's just going to cancel the trip and not go to England.
Okay, Sam.
Right.
Knock yourself out. If the charter provides that that's what happens when you are out of the country and unavailable, then that's what the charter provides.
Right.
Apparently, he knows or he got wind of the fact that they're planning on taking some action that he doesn't
Right.
agree with
Yeah.
while he's in absentia and he doesn't like it. Stomp his feet.
But the idea that they might do something, so I'm going to sue and get a court to rule on it, is that normal? Is that common? I mean, doesn't something have to happen before you go to court?
No, I mean, you can, there's such a thing as, seeking declaratory relief, prospective relief. There are situations where you're doing that. Like, I think in terms of like elections, your
Right.
forward-looking situations. So that in and of itself isn't super duper crazy. I mean, there's certain requirements you have to meet in order for that to be a viable request. But I don't know what's going to happen with this one. This is odd.
It's very odd. Councilman Mike Archer is going to be on the show at 7:05. So we're going to ask him about
so I guess he's bringing that action in St. Louis County before St. Louis County Court.
Yep.
I'm going to look it up.
Yep. All right. California Congressman, well, I guess former Congressman, has he actually left office or is he leaving?
Who,
office?
Swalwell?
Swalwell.
He basically was turning his staff over yesterday. So, I mean, he is in process, if not fully gone.
Yeah, so he may be still on the payroll, but if it's a matter of days, one way or the other, So he has announced, obviously, he's leaving Congress after accusations of sexual assault and other sexual misconduct. In a statement posted on X, Swalwell apologizing, obviously, to everybody, but still saying, I'm going to fight the accusations.
Right.
Yeah. One of the accusers spoke at a press conference for the first time on Tuesday. Her name is Lana Drews, and she says that she had contact with Swalwell in 2018 while working as a model and for her fashion software company. She describes the night where she says that she was drugged by Swalwell and taken back to his hotel room.
He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
And this is a completely separate case from an accusation that is from 2024.
Oh, yeah.
And then this case here, it could be they are now working with prosecutors and law enforcement. She acknowledges that she did not report it. There was no rape kit done. And the evidence that she has is basically her texting friends saying this happened in journals. So it's going to be a different approach to prosecuting if they think they've got enough to go on.
It is. And understand, I mean, rightly, it raises some questions. My understanding is that there are also reportedly contemporaneous therapy notes as well.
Okay.
She sought counseling and therapy after this. And so if there are therapy notes from back in that time frame that seem to corroborate this.
Can those be admitted in court?
If she voluntarily, I mean, there might be some restrictions on parts of it, but if she's willingly sharing those, then that could be part of the case too. So, it's again, you've got to, he's got to be presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well this all holds up. I mean, keep in mind, Christine Blasey Ford, everyone thought was, going to have Kavanaugh dead to rights. And then that kind of fell apart.
Right.
So be that as it may, but my understanding is there is at least some contemporary corroboration.
Mm-hmm. Okay. U.S. Navy ships blockading Iranian ports and talks with Iran in Pakistan, as we know, all failed. There was no deal made. President Trump rejecting Tehran's offer to pause nuclear activities for 5 years, saying, how about 20 years? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a stalemate right now. In an interview with Fox Business's Mornings with Maria, that's going to air later today, actually, the president told Maria Bartiromo that America's war in Iran could be coming to a close because he still says Iran wants to make a deal.
I had to divert because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over.
Okay, now Vice President J.D. Vance was being asked about this. He had an interesting conversation the way it turned at the event he was appearing at. He admits that many young Americans are not supporting this U.S. war in Iran. Here's what he had to say.
Addressing a Turning Point USA event in Georgia, the vice president said he understands why a lot of young voters don't love the Trump administration's Middle East policy. But he urged conservative activists who disagree with the president on the war to avoid becoming disengaged. He also said Donald Trump wants the U.S. to reach a grand bargain with Iran. The development of Iran's nuclear program remains a key sticking point. Greg Clugston, Washington.
I mean, war is about as big of a policy thing as you get. Can you keep the tent and the coalition together, even if there's a significant portion that don't like this?
That's a fair question.
Yeah, I'm curious what people think about that as well. Okay, a 33-year-old man faces charges in connection with the vandalism that left 5 cars tagged with swastikas in the city.
Oh, they found it.
We do have more information on him. Yep. St. Louis City Police arrested Daniel Hughes on Monday. He is charged with first-degree property damage. He's accused of spray painting the symbols on, like I said, 5 cars in the Benton Park neighborhood on Sunday. Yeah, and by the way, he also had outstanding property damage and trespassing cases in other parts of the metro, too. So he's what they call known to law enforcement.
He sounds nice.
Right, yeah. Okay, the Cardinals walk it off in the 10th inning. Nathan Church's sacrifice fly finished off the 6-5 win over the Guardians at Busch Stadium. It still sounds weird to me to say the Guardians.
Who is that even? Cleveland?
Okay, that used to be the Indians.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be the Cleveland Indians. And now
I had to think about that.
Right.
You're right. No, that sounds more like I don't know, like an arena football team or it doesn't sound like a baseball team.
No, and okay, so there is a Guardians thing in Cleveland. So they've got the main bridge going into town. They've got like these big like mythical creature statues that are like the guardians of the city.
Yeah.
So that's where the team name came from. So it actually does mean something.
So there's a logical nexus. Okay.
I've talked to some people who are from Cleveland or live, just over the coast. Nobody likes the name.
I don't know anybody who does.
Yeah, they want to bring back the Indians, but that ship may have sailed.
It may have. I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, Guardians, Indians, they got beat yesterday by the Cardinals.
That's the important thing.
Ivan Herrera had a home run. J.J. Weatherholt had 2 home runs.
Nice.
So get this. So far, the Cardinals have won every extra inning game they've been in this season. I think they've already been in 5 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. The last game of the series starts at 12:15, weather permitting, of course. If you're anywhere near Section 132, say hi. Me and Chris Arps are going to be there.
Yes, I say. Somebody's going to be there.
As will my daughter, as well, and Becky, Chris's wife. Nice. Also, they are not going to the playoffs, as we know, but the Blues trying to finish strong, despite being down 3-0 in the first period. It did not look good early on.
Oh, boy.
They ended up beating the Penguins 7-5 last night in the final home game of the season. That was the last one to Enterprise. Both Dylan Holloway and Jimmy Snuggerud had 2 goals, each of them. That is 3 wins in a row for the Blues. They wrap up the season Thursday in Utah.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, get up. This is your cousin Bahr. Get up, what are you waiting?
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, just a quick note here in a couple of minutes. The Officer Brandon Tatum was in St. Louis last night. Chris Arps and I had a chance to talk with him for several minutes. You're going to hear that conversation in about 3 minutes right here on News Talk STL. And Wednesday is one of my favorite days here at the office. You know why? Because it's donut day. And listen, I eat healthy. I work out. I think I'm in decent shape for a guy my age. But every once in a while, you just need a donut. And I'm telling you, there is a difference. Mario's Donut Restaurant is where it's at, my friends, right there on Mugi Road. Just type in Mario's Donut. Your maps will take you right there. And they're back open now because for a while they were doing all that road construction and you couldn't get to them, and that was a disservice to the people of St. Louis and St. Charles County. I'm just saying. All right. Because there's a difference. Because in the meantime, what was happening is the donuts would come in and they were from one of the chain places, and it just wasn't the same. There is a big difference with Mario's Donuts. But here's the thing. They also have food for breakfast, coffee. Go hang out there. They've got a great, cool coffee shop there. Great vibe. They could do your lunch. They've got desserts. So basically from morning breakfast all the way to dinner to dessert to catering your office party or your birthday party, they've got you covered. Check out their all-new revamped menu, mariosdonutrestaurant.com. We're talking wraps, we're talking breakfast sandwiches, we're talking desserts like tiramisu, we're talking all kinds of fantastic food made right here. So Mario's Donut Restaurant, I am telling you, I challenge you, if you're used to eating like some of the gas station donuts, go try Mario's and you're going to realize you've been cheating yourself. I'm just saying, if you're going to have a pastry, do it right. So go check out Mario's. Tell them that Mike says thank you for those donuts and thank you for those breakfast sandwiches and for that coffee. mariosdonutrestaurant.com, Mugi Road. Drive through, go in, hang out with them. Great people. Check them out. Tell them Mike said hi on mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitandtackle.net.
Hi, this is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the region's largest RE/MAX real estate brokerage. It is cold outside, but the real estate market is hot. This is a great time to buy or sell a home. Interest rates are also declining, which gives you more buying power. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me at 314-852-8933 for a free custom home buying plan. 314-852-8933.
Don't let spring surprises ruin your comfort. Johnson Heating and Cooling in Wentzville is offering air conditioner checkups for just $99. We'll check your Freon, inspect your condensate hose, and test all electrical connections. Plus, we'll clean your system for no additional charge if you act before June 30th. Keep your home running smoothly this season. Visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com. That's johnson-heatingandcooling.com. Johnson Heating and Cooling. Your comfort, our priority.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Hey, Mike Ferguson and Chris Arps here at the VTA Foundation event that just happened, well, as this is airing last night, Chris, and Brandon Tatum from the Officer Brandon Tatum Show. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. But Brandon, I got to tell you, I was really impressed at the messaging, especially when you started off by saying so much of the pro-life movement isn't wrong. We're not wrong in what we say, but sometimes the fight for life is a lot more of the fight as opposed to the compassion and the care and the messaging, especially for young people. Kind of talk about that for a second, because, I mean, conservative media, you know how we can get, man. And so when it comes to rethinking how we get the pro-life message out, what are some of the key things we need to keep in mind?
Well, I think that's a great question, and it's something that I've evolved to. When you're trying something and it's not working, or you see that you need to change, you have to make some improvements. And so just being very punitive towards people that make such a devastating decision, it's not always often what works, and it's the same as your relationship with Christ. Yeah, you can sit on a corner and scream at people and say they're going to hell and fire and brimstone. Maybe you'll get a few people that feel guilty enough, but guilt doesn't make you stay. Guilt doesn't make you improve as much as love and compassion. And because a lot of people have a lot of different things going on, right? Some people are being coerced into these things. Some people culturally, they've been told that this is normalized, or they have been, told that this is something that they would normally do. So we have to be compassionate and be informative and love people, and I think that makes all the difference.
Brandon, very passionate speech, very speech that really moved me. As you know, African-American women have the most abortions per capita. And when I have spoken with African-American women, one of the things that they bring up is, well, I think that it would be better to abort the child than the child to be maybe in a situation where they are abused or they're malnourished, they don't have the best things of life. I'm sure you've heard that same thing as well. How do you address women that say that to you?
Well, I asked them, sometimes maybe they'll think it's jokingly the way I asked them is that I didn't know you could tell the future.
Yeah.
Are you God, and can you tell the future? And if you can, then you can make the decision to take the life of somebody else. But you never know who this child will become. And really, it's not their fault that you're in this position. The responsibility was before you got in this position. So now that you're here, what are you going to do about it? And I think you need to sometimes giving a chance at life is the best thing you can do. And I bring up the story of Ben Carson, one of the greatest men to ever live. And his mother was a single mother. I think she couldn't read as well, and she had every reason to not have Ben. But look at when she chose life, look at what he became. And so that's one opportunity to share with them, an example, and maybe it'll change the trajectory of how they think about the situation. And it's not so much as I'm in the moment, it's but it's not about me. It's one of the things that I try to encourage people with.
Mike Ferguson and Chris Arps here at the Vitae Foundation banquet that happened at the Plaza Frontenac on Wednesday with Officer Brandon Tatum. You see him on the Officer Brandon Tatum show. One of the other parts that I think just needs to resonate more was so much focus tonight on men being involved. And Brandy followed up what you said, Brandy Meeks from the Vitae Foundation, saying that we men are conditioned to shut up. We're conditioned to stay the hell out of this, because we're not supposed to have a voice, and we're only supposed to affirm what's said. And then you mentioned your encounter with Planned Parenthood where they didn't want you there. So what is it that we need? How do we become bold on that while trying to navigate the whole toxic masculinity nonsense from the far left?
Yeah, first of all, toxic masculinity is bullcrap.
Yeah.
If toxic masculinity is going to war, fight for this country, building civilizations, then, well, let's be toxic then. Toxic masculinity, and I think that they've hijacked the word. Toxic is when you're a coward, when you're, abandoning women that you have children with. That's toxic. But the reality is we need to stop listening to that phony crap. What we need to do is focus on, as men, what are our responsibilities, and we need to step up to those responsibilities. And it's not just a woman's decision, right? That woman has a father. That woman has brothers. Men have involvement. That woman can give birth to another man, right? A child that becomes a man. And we know through research, through the Vitae Foundation, that the impact of men's involvement and support makes a lot of a difference. And when we know that, how much more should men step up to the plate? But I think that my thoughts towards men go beyond that. Men are responsible, called by God to lead. I think of Adam and Eve. God gave the responsibility to Adam. Eve ate the forbidden fruit first, but God did nothing until Adam did, because he gave the authority to Adam to lead and to act. And we need to do that in every aspect of life, and pro-life is not an exception. But also, what I want to say is that we need to push through the fear and the shame, because every time you see a video online, they're like, you're not a woman, stay out of a woman's womb. And it's like, well, it takes two people to create life. Some man with that young lady's mother had her. So men are involved from every step, from DNA all the way through. So we can't forget that, and we need to step up to the plate and take our rightful position in society.
How do you address the false trope that a lot of the left levels against conservatives and the pro-life movement when they say, well, you conservatives, you care about the child when it's unborn and you don't want it to be aborted, but when the child is born, you conservatives and Republicans, you abandon the child. How do you address that when people say that to you?
Well, a lot of times what I say is, what is your evidence? It sounds cute to say that, but where's your evidence? Where are you getting at that somehow Republicans or conservative policy is adverse to a child being born? At first, we're giving them life, which is the first start. And then also, we believe in capitalism, the empowerment of the family unity, all of the things that we agree with that they don't. So when they say we don't care about, the child after the child is born, that's a lie from the pit of hell. And I just encourage people, when you encounter somebody like that, you say, give me evidence. You can't just run your mouth and say that that's true. I want you to show me, what policy position do conservatives have that is against the betterment and the prosperity of the family unit. And then you can also push it back on them, because they're the ones telling women that they should go into this alone. They're the ones acting as if, the family structure is not one of the most important structures in human existence. And so they're the ones that are really not supportive of the child from the womb to the tomb.
So you're brought into St. Louis by the Vitae Foundation. They provide so much of that information that can help with that. What is it that you hope people take from the Vitae Foundation that you're finding with them?
Yes, there needs to be an innovative way to approach these topics. There's no way you can find your target if you don't understand the full breadth of what the conversation really is. And the Vitae Foundation is doing that. They do it with integrity, and they're growing by the minute. And so if you want to be a part of or support an organization that's good, the people who run the organization are great, genuine people that believe in the movement and are consistent, this is the place that you want to support. And I love the Vitae Foundation because they focus on research, and you cannot deny what research is showing, and the application of that research is how we change, the country and the way we look at the pro-life movement.
Brandon, thank you so much. We find all the one-stop shop for your show, your podcast everywhere. Where?
TheOfficerTatum.com.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Once again, that was the Officer Brandon Tatum. Of course, you know him from the podcast, you know him from the YouTube show, the Rumble Show, and from Turning Point USA. Really appreciate him giving me and Chris Arps a few extra minutes of his time right after he delivered the keynote address at last night's Vitae Foundation banquet. Listen, check out Vitae Foundation, VITAE Foundation.org, VitaeFoundation.org. This is a really strong organization that complements so many other aspects of the pro-life movement. I mean, you've got Reach Reproductive Health, which is providing the medical services and the support services and the life-affirming services. Vitae is it really complements all of that. Now, Vitae doesn't do the medical services, but they are doing the research and they are doing the messaging and they are empowering people to choose places like Reach instead of places like Planned Parenthood. And the research they've got's just been stunning. So much of that discussion last night was focused on not just women, but men, fathers being lied to and being scared away from the conversation, being scared away from advocating for women in crisis, advocating for the unborn child. And the research and the resources that they have available not only should be beneficial to anybody who's dealing with an unexpected pregnancy and literally has that life and death decision to make, but listen, the Vitae Foundation's resources also can be really helpful in your church, in your Christian school, in your conservative student group, in the debates in the classroom in any school. They've got fantastic resources and solid research to back it up. Once again, VitaeFoundation.org. All right, got some thoughts on that? Let me know. Shoot us some notes on social media here. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs towards the lower 80s. A first alert weather day has been issued as we could see the possibility of some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours lasting from 2 o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. We're sitting here with our great friend Chris Cooper. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Vic? How are you?
I hear you wrote another book. This one's an e-book. Is that right?
The Business Owner's Playbook for Financial Clarity. So it is a great book for entrepreneurs. It's a very short guide. Give people, business owners, the ability to understand key questions that are important, such as succession planning, legacy planning, getting the IRS out of our pockets, right? Because do you like paying taxes?
I do not.
I don't think anybody likes paying taxes, right? That just makes sense. And then always talking about protection. And then the other thing from a business owner perspective, what is the biggest asset a business owner has? Probably their business itself, right? We need to make sure we understand what the value of that business is as well.
So this new book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribue, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination, both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
This is what's happening.
The Save America Act, and it's exactly that.
It should only be looked at through the prism of how does this benefit American people?
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Today's show is brought to you by Tax Day, when all your hard work pays off. For the government.
Seems about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Susie was just lamenting, you've got to go to the post office today. Who goes to the post office?
The one who was going to pay her taxes online and then discovered that there's a pretty healthy fee that goes along with doing so, so would rather just drive by the post office instead.
Well, the post office misses people, so they'll be happy to have somebody go by wave at
At least I know where it is.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I am just so happy I can pay my fair share so we still have roads. I wish every day was tax day.
Over the moon.
Yeah, that's from the gas taxes. So, geez. All right. Tax day. I mean, the funny part is I started off the show a little bit ago. I'm like, happy tax day? Happy? No.
Is there a Hallmark card for that? I need to look.
Oh, my goodness. They'll tax you on it if there is.
I'm sure.
All right. Now joined by Ross Marchand from our friends at the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. All right, Ross. Looking at your blog, you've got a lot of thoughts on today because it's not even just about here's the deadline. Most people pay this stuff online or have a CPA or TurboTax or H&R Block or whatever. But it does represent that gut punch that we all feel. And, of course, one of the things you just posted, this tax day, here are 5 ways Washington wastes your money. You probably could have written 5,000 ways, but in the interest of time, you found 5 big ones. And we'll go through them because we're talking billions of dollars. But the bottom line is that today's the day when we realize this is where the money's coming from, and it's very, very real because this is the day we hand over the money that we paid to the federal government or to the state government and then see what they're doing with it.
Yeah, that's right. And the total, and this is an astounding, it's really hard to wrap your head around, $5 trillion total per year that taxpayers are sending to the IRS.
Ouch. That's a lot.
Yeah. See, and the thing is, normally the conventional wisdom is when you're talking about huge numbers like that, it's so abstract, people don't relate to it. But on tax day, you can relate to hundreds or thousands of dollars that you are putting towards that trillions of dollars. And then we'll get into the billions in waste that are easily identifiable.
Exactly. And every year, Americans are spending more and more money, not only just sending the taxes, the amount of taxes that they owe in itself, but also all the hours spent in prep time leading up to April 15th.
Yeah, that all adds up. Ross, I think one of the things that really, stands out to me is the different attitude people have towards taxes if they are getting a refund versus if they're paying. Because even people that recognize this realize that if you're getting a refund, it's just because you loaned the government that money. Interest free.
Yeah.
And if you're paying, it's because, but that's what really brings home to you. And I wish we could get to a way where people could see this is how much I'm paying in taxes instead of just having it, disappear magically and automatically. And some of it somehow miraculously end up coming back to them as a refund.
Yeah, exactly. And look, so there's all the frustration about, at best, you're giving Uncle Sam an interest-free loan. And at worst, maybe you're appealing something to the IRS, and then you go through the appeals process, and you're sitting down with the IRS, and you're looking across the table, and it's 10 IRS lawyers against you. So a lot of Americans go through that process, and they say to themselves, how did things get so messed up to begin with?
I had somebody, and I truly want to get into some of these 5 ways Washington's wasting your money, but somebody argued to me, not argued to me, but I heard them make the argument saying if we stop payroll deductions and everybody was required to make a payment online or cut a check at the end of the month every year, people would have an entirely different understanding of just how much this is hurting our household budgets every single year.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a point that was made by Milton Friedman, a famous economist. And he absolutely had a point. I mean, a lot of this money, we're not even seeing it go out the door to begin with. It's just subtracted from your paycheck before you even have a chance to notice it.
Okay, Ross, so let's dig into some of these ways, these lovely, lovely ways in which Washington is wasting our money. What are some of the ones that you highlighted here?
This first one was jaw-dropping for me. Now, I have been in the taxpayer protection business for a long time, and I had no idea the number was this high, but more than $200 billion a year in improper payments, and that includes waste, fraud, and abuse. So this money, right, is being justified. All these programs, okay, we're helping out struggling Americans who are down on their luck. And then you actually see how the money is spent, and it's not going where the bureaucrats say the money is going.
We are visiting with Ross Marchand from the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. And, of course, that's where we're seeing the news with what happened in Minnesota, what's being investigated in California, what investigations are likely to come into Illinois here in the NewsTalkSTL area. We're talking about money that was set aside, and everybody says, well, who's going to be against, food for poor people? Who's going to be against, something for, care for kids? How dare you? And then we see this and we're like, wait a minute, that wasn't for them. That was for some bureaucrat or from some grifter or for some contractor who had a political connection. So is this related, what you're talking about, related to what we're seeing in the headlines right now? Well, headlines in conservative media, because as we'll talk about later today, mainstream media isn't covering it that much.
Absolutely, yeah. 100% related to what you're seeing in states like Minnesota. And for every flashy example, and Minnesota is something that we've repeatedly gone back to is the best example for just outright fraud. You see countless other examples that are a lot more boring, but equally, if not more concerning. So, for example, you have a lot of doctors who are just skimming off the top in terms of Medicare and Medicaid, and maybe each amount that they're skimming off the top is small, but then you multiply it by millions and millions of cases of this happening, and the total becomes billions, hundreds of billions of dollars a year in waste, fraud, and abuse.
Now, Ross, this one stands out to me, too, though. Postal electric vehicle purchases, $10 billion, one-time cost. Now, that's not annually, but one-time cost. But did we really need to go to electric vehicles for the post office?
No, and guess how much these vehicles cost? $80,000 per truck.
Oh, Lord.
Make it make sense. The Postal Service is losing $9 billion a year, and they're still buying $80,000 trucks.
That's crazy.
Jeez. All right. Now we're going to tell you where to find all of these the listings and all these reports. It's called This Tax Day. Here are 5 ways Washington wastes your money. And there's a lot. Like, for instance, you list specifically $1 billion every single year for something called the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation. And this was an Obamacare thing, right?
Exactly, yeah. And this is something with Obamacare that no one talked about, but they are wasting your money to pilot these programs. I have a crazy idea. Instead of spending all of this money each and every year to pilot these programs and see, what healthcare models work and which don't work, just send the money to customers. Let them buy their own health insurance with their hard-earned dollars.
So how do we get this message out to people and get people more engaged in, pushing for reforms that are clearly necessary on this front?
So the vast majority of taxpayers know in abstract that their money is not being spent wisely. They don't know these specific examples. What we're trying to do is really make sure that these examples are in front of them so they know. And as you said before, not just 5 ways that Washington wastes your money, but more like 5,000. We want to make sure that as many examples are in front of taxpayers as possible so they know what poor value they are getting on the taxes spent and sent into Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so we need to be specific in our messaging here. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, Congress critter, we want a tax cut. I'm tired of paying X percentage of my income. You add up all the taxes, property and state and federal, and in some cities like St. Louis, local income taxes. And we're tired of this. And then what happens is the left points out to, but look at the people who are benefiting from these programs. So we're talking about a massive wealth distribution system, really, is what we're talking about here, taking from some, giving to the others. There used to be a word for that. I'm trying to think what it was. But what I'm saying is that the messaging hits the emotions better and harder from the left sometimes, Ross, because they're pointing to the person who is getting the free stuff. Why would you take this away from this child or this person who's down on their luck or whatever? And we've actually gotten into this twisted mindset that Thomas Sowell would one point argue, saying, I never understood why it was greedy to want to keep the money that you earned, but not greedy to want to take other people's money. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So how do we correct the messaging so that we can specifically target ways to make reforms and make changes and keep more of our money, which obviously is going to be better for everybody, as history tells us?
Yeah, so one really important part of the messaging is you need to take that left-wing theme of, this is, spending on people who, can't afford anything. They're down on their luck, right? And we need to turn it on them. So take Medicaid, for example. Medicaid is supposed to be health insurance for Americans who cannot afford their own health insurance, right? So that's all well and good in theory, but what happens in practice? There are millionaires on Medicaid. And I think that if more Americans knew that, they would realize, oh, this is not a program to help people who are down on their luck. This is just money being spent to help people who already have the means. I think if more people knew that, then there would be basically, greater understanding, and Americans would demand reform.
I think one of the things that people who support this administration and who voted for President Trump do appreciate is seeing the efforts being made to get into and weed out a lot of this waste, this fraud, this abuse. It's a Herculean. Did I say that right? Herculean task. And I know that they've got a long way to go, but I do think that is gratifying to see. The administration is also, basically talking up the Working Families Tax Act or Tax Cut Act, and rightly so. I mean, that's benefiting Americans, but how can we highlight that a bit more?
Well, I think we need to realize when we're talking about relief for working families, what would have happened if we did not pass the extension of tax cuts, which, by the way, were first signed into law in 2017. If we did not extend out that tax relief, then this would be the first year of drastic tax increases on the vast majority of Americans. So I think it's really important to highlight that and point it out.
All right, Ross Marchand from our friends at the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. By the way, I just linked the article on right there on our Rumble chat box. We'll put them up on some other social media. And I know that I was just tagged on a post. Somebody's just sent it to their congressperson as well. So we're getting the word out there. So in the coming weeks or months, anything tax related we need to be watching for, because I think everybody's going to be sort of, taking it on the chin today with tax day. But in the weeks ahead, what are the things we need to watch for in Congress to get some actual changes done? Because this is one of those things that Republican, Democrat, there's a lot of people want to talk up tax cuts, but we just don't ever seem to get some sort of relief that we can actually feel, at least not since the first Trump administration, when all of a sudden all of our paychecks got bigger with that tax cut.
Right. We always have to look to Capitol Hill first, and we have to see what sort of budgetary acts are going on and what sort of shenanigans are going on. So you see all this talk about shutdowns and no one can agree on a budget. But I mean, this is where it starts. So if you want to wonder, right, why are we having to send more than $5 trillion to Uncle Sam? It starts with these bloated budgets. And until we stop more than $1 trillion in deficit spending, almost $2 trillion in deficit spending a year, nothing will change. So it all begins on Capitol Hill with these bloated budgets.
All right. And Ross, we've connect with the work that you're doing, because all year long you guys are keeping track of the stuff that actually matters and affects us. So what's the way to be in touch?
Well, visit our website, protectingtaxpayers.org. We talk about all of these issues. And please, don't be a stranger. Reach out. We have a contact form on our website.
All right. Thanks, Ross. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys know this.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bump Day.
Bump Day. Bump Day. Why not?
You got it. You got to go with it.
I had somebody at the banquet last night saying, so what do you got? What's different with you guys? That's it.
Why should we listen to you? Bump Day.
Yeah, I'm just saying, at KMOX, they're not going to go Bump Day. They'd throw out their hips.
No, here we don't do that. Here we just have fun with it. And we invite you to send in your bump music requests for Flashback Friday. If you haven't done this yet, you should join the fun. We get requests regularly from our regulars. We want everybody to participate. So be sure to send in your request for Flashback Friday bump music to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On NewsTalk STL. News, analysis.
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
NewsTalk STL.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Belly fat isn't just fat. It's inflammatory, hormonal, and dangerous. But the solution isn't a fad diet. It's understanding how these three things work together. We talk about those three things and connect the dots this week.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
What's going on, y'all? It's the Officer Tatum. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. God bless you guys. God bless America.
All right, Sam Page is suing. He wants a judge to intervene to stop something that has not happened. And I don't know that anybody's talking about it happening, but because it might happen, somebody needs to do something to stop the thing that hasn't happened in the first place.
I meant to look that up and I forgot. I'm going to go look it up now because that sounds like a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, it's just weird. It is also parts of this. We're going to talk to Mike Archer, County Councilman Mike Archer, about this, among other things, at 7:05. Sam Page clearly thinks he's still relevant and that people respect and care what he thinks.
Silly man.
This Democrat on Democrat legal conflict.
It's kind of fun to watch.
It is kind of, yeah. And the thing is that the Democrats on the county council, all but one of them, pretty level-headed.
They are.
I just happen to disagree on the size and scope of some spending, but they're really not nutty, except for one. Yeah, just saying.
There's always one.
Yes, there's always one. All right, new accusations against Eric Swalwell. They should be shocking. They're not shocking, but they are really disturbing.
They are.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, this is nightmare material. Is what we're talking about here, if it's true.
If it's true.
Yep. And Cardinals go into extra innings again, and the Blues had their last home game of the season. We'll tell you what happened. It is 6:52 right now. Let's go and do another news dump.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right, and away we go. Sam Page is suing, saying the county charter should not be followed while he is on an upcoming international trip. That's actually a... That I mean, I'm biased because I don't like him, but that's really what he's arguing.
Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, if the charter provides that, I'm going to be surprised if there's some sort of weird exception that's found. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Because the charter and then there's a related county ordinance say that the county chair is the acting executive when the office holder is unavailable or otherwise unable to perform the duties. Okay.
Does it stipulate that they're the acting chair, but they can't actually act?
No, they're the acting chair. It's like when if the president is unable to do his or her duties, the vice president then
right
is etc. So Page is scheduled to fly to England this weekend, and he's gone to court to block Councilwoman Rita Hurd Days from acting as the acting executive, despite the fact that the charter says so. Here's part of what Sam Page was saying at his wine fest. Press conference.
Did you say wine?
With WHIN.
Oh.
The bad kind.
Well, the county council is attempting to do something that's never been done before in the history of the county, and that is seizing executive authority while the county executive is still in office.
That sounds so dastardly.
So is he saying that the county executive has never left the country, or there's never been an instance in all of these years where that provision has come into play?
Yeah, apparently. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing is here's what this type of thing is set up for. A tornado strikes while the executive is away. Somebody needs to declare a state of emergency.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to, oversee that's what these things are for here. Okay. There's a project, it's construction, something goes horribly wrong. Somebody needs to come in and make a decision on a contract. That's the sort of thing that we're doing.
There's got to be somebody acting in the role.
Yeah. Page's argument as he's got a cell phone, it reaches around the world, and you can reach me. That's his argument. And he says if the court does not rule in his favor, he's just going to cancel the trip.
Okay, so they're having a hearing on it this afternoon at 2 p.m., and I suspect the court will rule either later today or first thing tomorrow. So we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's just an odd thing, basically him saying no. I don't know. It's an interesting argument that he's making, but
I don't really get the justification. It sounds more like he's just worried they're going to do something he doesn't like in his absence.
They're going to sign a budget he doesn't like.
He wants to go on his trip, but he wants them not to, usurp his authority in the process.
This happens all the time when the governor does a trade mission. The lieutenant governor becomes the acting governor, even though we can call the guy, and it's just weird. Okay, California Congressman Eric Swalwell facing new accusations, and these are rough. A woman named Lana Drews says she had contact with Swalwell in 2018 while working as a model. She accuses Swalwell of drugging her drink and raping her in his hotel room.
I did not consent to any sexual activity. Although I did not undergo a rape kit at the time, I disclosed the assault to the people closest to me.
Okay, now this is separate from rape accusations in another case in 2024.
That happened in New York.
Well.
Yeah, this is an LA situation.
Yeah.
So we've got both sides of the country involved here in terms of investigation.
Right, and my understanding is there are 5 women who have come.
There are 5
forward
accusers. Some of them aren't specifically of rape or sexual assault as much as they are necessary. Some other sexual impropriety.
Right.
But
yeah, exactly. Do you see the story? Turning Point USA activist Savannah Hernandez attacked during an anti-ICE protest over the weekend. Yeah, she was hit pretty hard by that big dude.
She was shoved.
Yeah, she hit the ground pretty hard. This happened at the Whipple Federal Building, shoving her to the ground, like Susie said. She was on the Ingram Angle the other day, and she says this is the 3rd time she's been assaulted, and now she's kind of afraid to do her job, which is understandable.
It's what I've been doing for the last 6 years.
Yep.
And I'm terrified to do my job. I can't even interview people properly on the street because I got brutally assaulted and pushed to the ground by a 250-pound man for simply going and reporting on anti-ICE activities.
And she says she just had minor injuries in that. The vice president was actually asked about this. He was at I think it was a Turning Point USA event. That he was at, and he said he's actually spoken with Kash Patel about this particular case and investigation.
And he said, yes, we've had multiple agents on the ground. We've already talked to Savannah. We're going to use the video to try to go after the people who assaulted her and then try to defund the networks that fund those radicals who are going around assaulting activists. That's what we should be doing.
All right, quick notes. The Cardinals walk it off in the 10th inning, beating the Guardians last night, and the Blues won their final home game of the season, beating the Penguins 7-5.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Mayela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Like Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
From Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump tells the New York Post round 2 of U.S.-Iran talks could be happening over the next 2 days. In the meantime, the U.S. military has Iranian ports locked down tight. Vice President Vance admits that many young Americans do not support the Iran war.
Addressing a Turning Point USA event in Georgia, the vice president said he understands why a lot of young voters don't love the Trump administration's Middle East policy. But he urged conservative activists who disagree with the president on the war to avoid becoming disengaged. He also said Donald Trump wants the U.S. to reach a grand bargain with Iran. The development of Iran's nuclear program remains a key sticking point. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Turning Point USA CEO Erica Kirk had to cancel plans to attend that event in Georgia following a credible threat on her life. An appeals court panel orders a federal judge to end his contempt investigation of Trump administration deportation flights.
In a divided opinion, the panel majority said Chief Judge James Boasberg abused his discretion in forging ahead with criminal contempt proceedings stemming from the March 2025 deportation flights carrying Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador. The court's majority opinion set forth that President Donald Trump's administration has a, quote, clear and indisputable right to the termination of the contempt proceedings. Ken Lorman reported.
High winds, flooding rains, and hail have battered parts of the Midwest again, with tornadoes confirmed in Wisconsin and Iowa. Today, severe weather could stretch from Texas all the way up into the Great Lakes region. The East is in the grip of a heat wave. It may shatter high temperature records right on into the weekend. Watching Wall Street this morning, stock futures are mixed. The Dow futures are down 7 points, while the NASDAQ futures are 3.5 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs towards the lower 80s. A first alert weather day has been issued, as we could see the possibility of some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours, lasting from 2 o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
What if Missouri eliminated its income tax entirely?
Find out how at the Road to Zero Income Tax Town Hall.
Hosted by NewsTalkSTL's own Mike Ferguson.
Joined by Senator Nick Schroer and Representative Ben Keithley.
Come ready with your questions and get the facts on the plan to phase out Missouri's income tax for good.
Thursday, April 30th at the Lodge de Pair, presented by AFP Missouri and Mo Tax Relief Now.
RSVP today at afpmissouri.com. That's afpmissouri.com.
Spring has sprung at Daniel's Farming Greenhouses on Juggerman and St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pods of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farming Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarminggreenhouses.com.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It is the drama, the political drama of the year. We are talking money. We are talking power. We are talking fireworks.
Intrigue.
Can Sam Page get anything right at this point?
I don't know.
Good
I don't think
Lord.
so.
Good Lord. All right, we're now joined by St. Louis County Councilman Mike Archer. Mike, I want to get to the county budget standoff that you and I chatted about the other day, and then I want the update on the whole thing with the JB Blast thing. But now we've got news that Sam Page going to court because he wants a judge to rule against something that hasn't happened. Because he wants to go to England, and he says that when he's out of town, the charter says the county chair then becomes the acting executive, and he basically wants to rule, a judge to preemptively rule against that happening. And Susie was looking up the lawsuit and seeing what it was all about. But what's your take, being an attorney, having worked in county government yourself, in the realm of an attorney? What do you make of Sam Page's lawsuit and his claim that the council is trying to seize power from the executive, and that's never happened before in the history of the county?
Yeah, well, my first thought, my first thought would be a violation of FCC if I said exactly what I was thinking.
I appreciate you controlling yourself there.
But the charter is quite clear, and actually the charter is kind of outdated. And it says anytime that the county executive leaves the county, he has to inform the chairperson so that they can take the adequate measures. And like you mentioned earlier, Mike, you were spot on when you said that it's kind of a limited role. And if we have a state of emergency, that person can declare a state of emergency. And as you know, that has all sorts of bells and whistles with state and federal, so that if we have a car derailment and poisonous gases spewing into the atmosphere, that person can do that. And the charter, like I said, is quite clear, and that has happened before. And we're going to be in front of Judge Ott this afternoon at 2 o'clock just to litigate that action. It's a TRO. I was expecting it to be followed up with a declaratory judgment action, but I think we're just going to do the TRO, and possibly they're going to move for a permanent injunction if they get that. But quite frankly, I don't think it's going to be very, I don't think their chances are good at getting that TRO. I really don't. And I was talking with Retta Days last night, and she made the comment, she said, just what are you scared of with me taking over? And Sam would never answer her about, the question of, why can't I have that authority to protect the citizens of St. Louis County? He would never answer her at all on that. So, I mean, the paranoia, the paranoia just reigns supreme up there. I don't know what's going on, Mike.
That sounds like par for the course, Mike. I mean, it seems consistent with what we've known. So when I was looking at the petition that they filed, it looks like he's challenging an ordinance that was passed maybe last September that specifies about, the ability of the council chair to take on this authority. So to me, it looks like maybe that's sort of fleshing out what's it provided in the charter, but he seems to be arguing that it's conflicting with it. Can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, well, no, there's no conflict on that. It's very clear that if he leaves, I think the conflict is that the ordinance says, and correct me if I'm wrong, Susie, I think the ordinance says Continental United States and the charter says county.
Okay.
So yeah, I think therein lies the conflict. But irrespective of that, it's one of those where that it doesn't matter. He's leaving the Continental United States, and he's going to be in England. Different time zones, different everything. So it's like I said, it's a distinction without a difference in terms of what he is trying to do. Mm-hmm. I think that he just doesn't want to give up the power, or thinks that he gives up the power. It's not like Retta's going to go up there and start going through his desk, and trying to find, how many paper clips he has, or and quite frankly, she's not going to go up and start firing people because Sam gets back 5 days later and hires them back. So it just doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to put logic to an illogical situation, and it's just giving me a headache. So, yes.
We're visiting with County Councilman Mike Archer, St. Louis County here. All right, let's talk about some of the big stuff, the real stuff here. The budget standoff. I mean, the county's been overspending tens of millions of dollars in the hole. Sam Page, is mad that he's not being able to access more money and frankly, raise a bunch of taxes. Where do things stand right now in the negotiations to get the county back in a better financial footing? I mean, we're just going to have to hope that the next county executive, whoever that is more fiscally responsible and works with you all. But where are we right now? How far apart are you all and the executive, Sam Page, right now?
Pretty far apart. And it's not as dire as what Sam Page is portraying. First of all, we are fully funded. We are fully funded throughout the year. Now then, when we take a look at the third quarter, that is where we may have to start, doing some supplemental funding. But Sam Page is already talking about furloughing people and closing offices. And it is just the chicken little, the sky is falling, running around saying we're going to have to do that. He got some of the Department of Revenue people saying, don't lay me off, don't furlough me. And that is not happening. It is just a situation of where that we are looking at all these different things that Sam Page is saying, and it just doesn't make any sense. So therefore, when you ask how far apart are we, Mike, the budget is not in the dire circumstance that Sam Page is portraying. So when we look at the total picture, people are going to be keeping their jobs. We're not saving any money by not servicing citizens on Friday, and it just doesn't make any sense on where he is going with that.
Mike, the last time that we talked with you, there was a discussion about the JB Blast event in the summer and how there was a little bit of it seemed to be a spiteful maneuver on the part of Sam Page to say, well, we're just not going to be able to afford to do that. What's the status of that situation now?
Oh, that has reached beyond spiteful. And again, I refrain due to FCC violations.
We appreciate it. We really do.
Hey, because we got a flyer that June 6th, at the JB Park, they're having a food history, free food, free music, and it's sponsored by the parks on June 6th to celebrate the 250th anniversary. We just got that yesterday. And, Mark Carter was kind of impressed because he said he watched me for 8 minutes and I had a string of expletive deleteds and I didn't repeat one word twice. But I'm going to be sunshining that, Susie, because I want to know where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
If we don't have the money for the JB Blast, why do we have the money for this free food and live music and history that goes all day on Saturday, June 6th at JB Blast? So yes. Well, I'm probably. I'll shut up there.
Yeah, well, Mike, the JB Blast thing, wasn't most of that covered with sponsorships anyway? There wasn't that much from the county in the first place. So what are we talking about the outlay would have actually been for the county? Because if I remember right, it was like a few $1,000s versus how much is it that the county parks are going to be spending on this event that you just referenced?
I don't know about that because that's what I've got a sunshine mic. And the last estimate from last year was $2,500 that the county expended. Okay, so that is probably less than 1% of our $1 billion budget. So not very good with math, but that is just a drop in the bucket. So yeah.
Okay, so then what's next as far as the JB Blast? Is it for sure done, dead for this year, not going to happen, or is there still a chance that there's going to be either through sponsorships or through something on the county council level that it's going to be saved somehow?
There is still a chance, Mike, and I have met with the Afton-Lemake Chamber of Commerce. I've met with the Oakville Chamber of Commerce. They are marshaling businesses in which to contribute. We don't have the final figures now in terms of how much that those businesses will or can pledge. So that's something that I'm still trying to herd and for want of a better term, try to get that all together and see if we can do that. And again, this whole thing with the June 6th, I need to find out where that money's coming from as well, too.
Yeah. All right. Too bad the party there at JB Blast doesn't start super early. That would be a good thing to do a show from.
Yeah.
It sure would be.
Yep.
It sure would be. And, hopefully I could drop by and say hi to you guys.
Without that, you can do that anyway.
Okay. Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
The invitation stands.
All right. Mike Archer, St. Louis County Councilman. What's that, Mike?
Oh, no, nothing. I'm sorry, Mike.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. So, Mike, St. Louis County Councilman Mike Archer, always appreciate the update and not pulling the punches, but pulling the cuss words. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Everyone's had their say on President Trump's infamous social media posts, including the theologians at The View. Yeah, they had thoughts on the matter, sort of. We will bless you with that at 7:20.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
On News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
Wednesday marks exactly 1 month left in the 2026 Missouri legislative session, and we'll discuss the latest coming from Jeff City with Rodney Boyd, plus Danny Define and Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to overstockoutletstl.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You know, I think the whole Donald Trump Jesus picture thing, I thought it'd kind of run its course, but the memes in response to it have been pretty spectacular.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
memes are
give
good.
them that, yeah. And matter of fact, because I didn't even like the first day when I saw it, I think it was Jerome that sent it to us on the text. He goes, "Did you guys see this?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on, no." And so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to let the thing blow over, talk about other stuff. But it got huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it absolutely got huge. And then the president had to respond and say something that was just nonsensical and insulting to the intelligence. And I'm like, okay, well, that happens too. And it just blows through the news cycle and it just kind of does its thing. There was actually one funny joke that I'm going to give credit to Colbert.
Oh, okay.
You know, because normally I'm not, because I think he's a dolt. And I think he's just an arrogant dolt. But I did see a clip, and he was talking about the now deleted post, and he says, you know, President Trump puts the Trump Jesus post up, and he took such heat and such backlash that he deleted the post, and now you can only find it everywhere else on the internet. So credit where credit's due. That was pretty funny. And then The View decided to use words and say stuff. I'm scared. Let me just lead with what actually ended up happening. Joy Behar,
noted theologian,
essentially called Jesus a narcissist.
Oh, okay.
I'm not kidding. Even Mediaite, which is not exactly a conservative.
No.
Their headline was, Joy Behar accidentally calls Jesus a narcissist.
Accidentally?
Yeah, because she didn't know what she's talking about.
Well, that could be true any day. But
right, exactly. But, I mean, normally, so if you don't watch The View, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah.
The rest of us watch clips of it so you don't have to. But essentially, when there's a debate and something gets into an argument, this is what encapsulates what happens on The View. Yeah. Yeah. That's notably similar to what you're about to hear.
I saw that show.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably their top hit for the week.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. It probably was. Okay, so here's what they're talking about the meme. They're talking about the the
Sure.
whole thing. I mean, it's a chance to slam Trump, so they're going to jump all over it. It's just what
Definitely.
have you noticed, by the way, before I get into the clip, that a show that features host named Sunny, Joy, Whoopi, that there's a lot of dour hatred for a show with hosts who are named Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy. I just want to point that out. But here's what they're doing, and Joy Behar goes on this just rant, and even the other women on the panel, they're like, no, that's hot. You need to stop. They're trying to give her an off ramp, and then finally Whoopi Goldberg's like, we got to get out of this thing. We're getting killed here. Here's what happened.
Concerned by
but
she was
Jesus
really
himself did
comparing
not
them.
run around saying, I'm the Messiah. I'm the Messiah.
Jesus
This
kind of
guy,
did say he was
you're
the
supposed to have a little bit
Well,
of...
here's
That's
the-
exactly
here's the
what
thing.
Jesus said. I am the
Hey,
Messiah.
you know what?
No, he did not.
It's
Jesus
been a minute
was more
since her
modest
Here's the
than
thing.
that.
The Pope's
Listen, I
got
knew
it.
Jesus,
He's
okay?
got God behind.
She
The
just
Pope-
said, I knew Jesus. Jesus was not narcissistic like this guy.
And
But
by
when
the way-
you are the Messiah, it's not narcissism to say it. Yes, it is. When you are the Messiah.
I'm going to move this along because this is like, it's too much for me.
Okay, so you've got C.S. Lewis, and you've got Bonhoeffer, and you've got Joy Behar. Jesus said something to the effect of, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
No one goes to the Father but by me. But Joy
The
Behar,
hubris.
as far as Joy Behar goes, that's narcissism.
The hubris on that man. My God. Oh, yeah. Wait a second.
Who does he think he is?
Apparently, God.
Dang.
Wow. I don't know that you can actually adequately map that out and not create a black hole or a tear in the space-time continuum. What the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, I was prepared for idiocy because,
Sure. It's the view.
Behar. But I don't even know where to begin.
The funny part is when you look, if you see the video of this, of course, I mean, everybody on there, there's one who's like a token pseudo quasi-Republicanish. I don't remember what her name is, but there's one.
Well, they keep going through them.
Yeah.
They run through them very quickly.
But the left, all the others, the far leftists there, you can see their body language going, shut up. They know what's about to happen because Joy Behar is thinking or speaking before she's thinking. I mean, and she just kept digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. Jesus never claimed to be the Messiah. No, he actually, there's a book about that. He did.
I was curious about whether, what Joy's theological foundations might be. And it says she's the only child of a Roman Catholic family of Italian descent, which makes me feel like at some point she would have received some degree of Catholic education. Maybe not necessarily Catholic school.
Do the
but
Italian Catholics take that theologically stuff seriously? I'm told. She might have heard a thing or two about Jesus.
I would think that she might have learned a little bit about the Messiah in that along the way there.
There's Catholics and there's the Italian Catholics.
Yeah, but
who they talk about it.
A little,
just a bit.
I guess she forgot her schooling.
Go down to
old.
the hill and insult Mary. See what happens to you.
She is old.
I hate to torture everybody, but we have a comment saying Behar did not say Jesus was a narcissist. She's saying Donald J. Trump is. I could have sworn that I heard her say that about.
Here's what she said. She said he's not a narcissist like Trump. But then when one of the other panelists said calling himself the Messiah
is not
narcissistic, and she said, yes, it is. And they're like, but he did call himself the Messiah because he was the Messiah.
Right.
So she did by inference. It's the what's the property? Not transitive property, something like that. Anyway, it's the logical inference from what she was saying. So yes, Scooter, she did say that.
Yeah, I mean, she was also calling Donald Trump a narcissist. Yeah. I've called Donald Trump a narcissist. One of the reasons that many of Donald Trump's supporters like him is because he does carry that narcissism and the swagger with it. I do think he's a narcissist. But that's, again, the traits that I would put in that. There's one of the reasons a lot of people like him.
The very logical inference of what she was saying is that calling yourself the Messiah is narcissistic.
Is narcissism, yeah.
Even if you are the Messiah, apparently.
And she's like,
no,
but he
Joy, no.
It's like, but he never said it. No, he did.
He did. That's the thing that gets me. It's like, did you retain anything from your upbringing? Did you ever look at the Bible?
Yeah.
Did you ever
Look at the parts with the red letters.
Yes, red letters. Those are big. Those are really important.
There's a reason why when they're talking about Jesus, he is capitalized.
Every time.
That would probably be wise because he's the Messiah.
Okay, so here's the thing is, and those of you on the left, listen, you've got your media, we've got our media. I wish all of them were objective and took more, calling balls and strikes things. Is The View taken seriously on the left? I mean, we use it for comedic fodder because there aren't real deep thoughts that come from that. And basically, it's when they go super over the top, even by their standards, that we put stuff like this. But does this represent stuff on the left?
Here's my take on that. I have many, many, many friends and family who are on the left, some leftier than others. And I see their Facebook posts. I let them go. I don't say anything. I don't comment. And I've yet to see any of them share a clip from The View ever.
Okay. That says something.
So, I mean, they might share some podcaster that's out there. They might share something else, but I've never seen them share The View. I've never had someone from the left quote The View to me.
So it's not like, you'll post something from, who knows, Rand Paul or Ted Cruz. They're like, oh, yeah, here's Sonny Hostin. Game over.
Right. Checkmate. No. Well, yeah, I keep my politics off Facebook for the most part, other than sharing the show, because I just like to keep my sanity in peace. But anyway, of all the stuff I see shared, I never see them sharing that.
It's the people that I've encountered that have referenced The View, not cited them as like a actual source, but referenced things that were talked about. It's mostly your day drinking soccer moms.
Yeah, but I know a lot of them. This is my point.
Okay.
This is my wheelhouse.
Interesting.
This is my wheelhouse.
Then maybe it's something more of like a northeastern thing.
I am every bit an awful except for the L part. Yeah.
So
well, no, I'm not
awful?
affluent. But anyway, I'm point being, I am of that generation and that group of people that we, don't agree with politically. And so I see all their posts. They are not citing The View.
So I specifically remember going to certain people's houses, and that was kind of what their mom was like the fun mom kind of thing. And in the background,
that was day drinking, sure.
Well, yeah,
how long ago was
years
this?
ago?
Just a couple years ago?
A few years ago.
Yeah, no, but okay. Obviously I'm not.
Go over there and
I don't know everybody.
You're just being, young 20-year-old knuckleheads.
I don't know everybody. All I know is that I have a lot of conversations with an interaction with women who are that kind of fit somewhat that description that don't ever bring up The View, actually.
Well, it just sounds like you hang out with smarter day drinking soccer moms.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
How many empty boxes of boxed wine did they have? Because that's
Depends
the
on
other
the
thing.
day.
Okay.
Depends on the day.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
I actually kind of respect that answer.
Well, as we all contemplate the money taken from us today on this amazing holiday known as Tax Day, let's also think about the billions of dollars stolen from us through fraud, mostly in corrupt deep blue states. But not only there. At 7:35, we will dig into the mainstream media's cover-up of that.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs towards the lower 80s. A first alert weather day has been issued, as we could see the possibility of some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours, lasting from 2 o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances to southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIGlobal.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
By now, you've heard of the DoorDash delivery to the Oval Office. President Trump taking delivery of hamburgers and even paying a $100 tip. The leftist publication, the Daily Beast, rushed out to tell you this was all staged. Really? The Daily Beast calling it a stunt, mocking Trump, saying this was fake news. Is that right? You mean to tell me a grandma working for DoorDash wasn't able to get through all the security just to deliver burgers to Trump? How stupid do you have to be to even think this was unplanned? Trump even joked, this doesn't look staged, does it? The DoorDash delivery was an opportunity to push his no tax on tips. But the Daily Beast had another breaking news report. The same grandmother testified before the Ways and Means Committee when the bill was being debated. The funny thing here is not that this was a staged photo op. The funny thing is that the Daily Beast, which often deals in fake news, wanted to blow the whistle. This was staged. Look, if you need the Daily Beast to say this was fiction, I have a fact for you. You need help.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert-insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got defunded, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time, big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad.
Oh my God!
You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
101.9 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Hey, did you hear about all that fraud that's being investigated in California?
I did.
Did you hear about that, Jerome?
I think I've heard this one before.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. You did not hear about it if you only watch some of the mainstream media outlets.
Well, who does that?
I know. Why would they care about potentially billions of dollars stolen from taxpayers? I'm only saying potentially because there haven't been convictions yet, but we know what happened.
Yeah, not in California. They haven't. Well, there have been indictments.
There's been indictments, but so we know that this is happening around the country. By the way, happy tax day.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
We're now joined by Curtis Houck from NewsBusters. And Curtis, just a little bit ago, we actually had a discussion with Ross Marchand from Taxpayer Protection Alliance. And basically, he spent some of the time pointing out specifics on ways Washington is wasting our money. And the biggest one that he pointed out was essentially waste, fraud, and abuse, which we've known about, but now we're getting spotlighted in Minnesota. We're seeing what's happening in California, which is showing every indication that it is going to just completely dwarf what happened in Minnesota, as bad as that is. And then, of course, you're looking possibly in Illinois and other states, New York and other states, that we know that billions of dollars that we pay, which we feel on this tax day, is going. And you all found some of the biggest media outlets that obviously are hard left, CNN, what used to be MSNBC, which is now MS Now. Am I reading this right? Not a single mention of potentially billions of dollars of criminal fraud. Not a single mention.
Yeah, guys. Good morning. ABC and NBC and MS Now, zeros across the board. CNN, just a few mentions within the last week, and they were on a new show that they have when they hired a LA-based investigative reporter and political journalist, and he has mentioned it. No, I think when you think about fraud, guys, in media coverage, this should be like the most fundamental, like ground level, good journalism, enterprise, public service that anybody can do, local and state, federal, or national news outlets should be doing. And we talk so much about how they've lost trust in the American people, and rightfully so, and whether they've squandered it or all sorts of other factors. But I feel like this is the most basic thing that they could do and aggressively do that would help to slowly but surely bring back people in terms of trust. But, again, as I just said there, 2 of the 3 broadcast networks and 1 of the cable networks has not mentioned this at all. And, it's cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. 2023, $200 million. And there was an arrest in Southern California just 2 weeks ago of a married couple who ripped $7.5 million off of Medicare, allegedly. Mm-hmm. And these numbers are stunning. CBS, which just gave it 17 minutes, they found a guy in 2024, this is just 1 year, filed $70 million of Medicare claims, claiming he cared for nearly 2,800 people at 126 different hospice offices. Literally, there's not enough hours in the day, in the year, for one man to be doing all of that. And yes, these are federal dollars, guys. Mm-hmm. So this is what Gavin Newsom and Tim Walz and others have said, that in a lot of these situations, so it's federal dollars going out the door. No. These programs are administered by the states. They receive federal funds. So if the state says this daycare is great, this hospice is great, they're certified. What's the federal government supposed to do?
Right. Good morning, Curtis. This is Susie Moore. So it seems to me like, yes, like you pointed out, this territory is just ripe for journalism, for digging in. There's so much to work with here. But at a minimum, the outlets that you've cited, NBC, ABC, MS Now, you would think that because this is something that is regularly talked about by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who they love to hate on, they would at least at a minimum be reporting on what they're saying about it. But they're not even whispering that.
Right, exactly. They're not covering it and then saying, taking the bait of what Gavin Newsom's team has done, which is, again, as I just mentioned, they pass the buck and they say, well, these are federal dollars going out the door. Shouldn't the federal government do a better job of taking care of this? Obviously, as I just said, there's an explanation for that. But the fact is that ABC, NBC, and MS Now aren't even taking that spin and running with it. It's just absolutely bonkers. I do have to credit, again, CBS News for really digging in on this. They were a week ahead of Nick Shirley on hospice fraud in California. So I mean, yes, I think Shirley receives credit for getting the ball rolling on just kind of basic fraud investigative reporting again, kind of reigniting this interest in it. I just have to point out in the interest of fairness that, yeah, CBS, to their credit, they got on this. And even before that, at the beginning of the year, Dr. Oz at CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, has really been putting the focus on this. In early January, he started talking about this. And you think about this, guys, I mean, entitlement, for all the talk, the left says, the military budget with the war in Iran is blowing a hole in our spending and bankrupting us. No, guys, it's entitlements that is killing our country's fiscal health. And, you look at, again, just Medicare here, fraud is causing us hundreds of millions of dollars that the government coffers should have, but they don't because of fraudsters. That should concern each and every American.
Yeah, I mean, now, is this the Barry Weiss effect at CBS? Because, I mean, I used to work at a radio station that was a CBS News affiliate, and it was horrific, but I know that it's improved. So are we talking just the Barry Weiss effect? She came on board, everybody hated her in the newsroom, but now they're covering some things they didn't cover before.
I mean, yes. I mean, they are still doing liberal things. I mean, they had the piece with all the liberal Catholic bishops over the weekend. They've done, they've had negative stuff about Iran. They had some of the things with some of the Swalwell accusers that, were kind of interesting, but they didn't really offer anything new, but they kind of built it as this really big exclusive. Barry is all about kind of access and debts. And I think this is one way where that kind of philosophy does work out. And they sent this Adam Yamaguchi guy out into the field, knocking on doors, getting the door slammed in his face. People like visually seeing that. They kind of equate that with action. Or in his first piece, he went along to take a look at hospices in Los Angeles. He found 500 hospices in a 3-mile stretch of Los Angeles. He drove around with some hospice advocate and just to kind of drive along. Empty office parks, empty office buildings. You knock on doors, nobody's there. That kind of visual thing we don't really see as much anymore, and we do need more of that. And so I think, yes, that is her effect.
I think that's why this story particularly is capturing the attention so much, because the visual representation there really, really drives it home. One of the other interesting facets of what the legacy media, is willing to cover and who they're willing to cover is showing up with the Eric Swalwell situation, because, now he's persona non grata to basically everybody. But, just moments ago, he was the darling. He was on. He's like Michael Avenatti. Like, you got to have him on all the time. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Are any of them even acknowledging that maybe they should have tempered some of their glowing coverage of him?
No, and I mean, that's the remarkable thing, guys. It's like, we don't know that. It's like Peter in the Bible. They're like, we don't know this man. Like,
who's that guy?
Yeah, I know nothing. I see nothing. I know nothing. My colleague Nick Fonacaro has done a study just since the beginning of the year, CNN and MS Now, 50 combined appearances on the two liberal cable networks for Eric Swalwell. And you probably go back hundreds of times over just the last few years alone. I mean, those numbers are simply stunning. So they definitely know this guy personally. And as my colleague Tim Graham notes in his syndicated column that's out this morning, this is so reminiscent of what happened in 2012, guys. If you recall, every time a new Republican went to the top of the polls, whether it was Herman Cain or Rick Santorum, or even when there was thought that Sarah Palin might run, stories would just magically appear, And that's what's going on in California, because for listeners that are not aware, the polling, the Democrats were kind of eating their own. There were so many Democrats running. There were so many Democrats running to the left in this jungle primary that two Republicans might win in advance to the November election. So at some point, something had to happen. There to be some sort of coalescing. Oh, wait, people knew that Swalwell was a creep.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do something about that.
All right,
not
Kurt.
to say that they're not true, of course. Right. I have no reason to doubt them.
Yeah, all right, Curtis, of course, we'll give out the website for people to connect with you. I don't know what to make. I'm going to reserve judgment on the Bible story. I need to wait and find out what Joy Behar thinks I should think about that. So just just so you know. But in the meantime, we can find all your Wall's work because you're reporting on not only what's being covered in a biased way and dishonest way, but also what's not being covered at all. What's the one-stop shop for that online?
NewsBusters.org. Download our NewsBusters app. We also have that as well. We only send out 1 or 2 push notifications a week. We don't spam you because we know people hate that.
Yes, I do. Thanks so much, Curtis. Appreciate
Thanks, Curtis.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, you know what? Today's tax day. It is tax day.
Tax day.
It's tax day. Oh, yeah. It doesn't have the same ring to it, does it? But, if you want to know more about taxes, taxation, how we might improve upon the situation, you can go to the Road to Zero Income Tax Town Hall on April 30th at the Lodge de Bahr. What if Missouri eliminated its income tax entirely? Find out how at the Road to Zero Income Tax Town Hall. It's hosted by NewsTalkSTL's own Mike Ferguson, joined by Senator Nick Schroer and Representative Ben Keithley. Come ready with your questions and get the facts on the plan to phase out Missouri's income tax for good. Thursday, April 30th, Lodge de Bahr, presented by AFP Missouri and Missouri Tax Relief Now. RSVP today at afpmissouri.com. If you don't want to go off the rails on the crazy train, you need to think about what your windows are like. You need to check out Window World Windows. They're one of only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. They're ranked number 1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. In just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and the thermal efficiency of more than 80,000 homes in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years. Window World products are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful. They use a double-strength glass not commonly used in replacement windows. Plus, you get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Window World can also help with siding and doors, and their customer service department is available 7 days a week, which is something a lot of their competitors cannot say. In fact, over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or from referrals, which says a lot about their commitment to customer service. Right now, Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit, so call for a free in-home estimate, 1-800-GET-WINDOWS, or visit windowworldstlouis.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
When they caught me in broken, I knew. When they caught me
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've got a couple of jokes here that I want to... You know what? I'm gonna
all that suspense and that's
wow. Okay. So I'm like, do I tell tax day jokes from Chris Rock or Alexa? I'm going to go with Chris Rock here. How about this?
I used to work making minimum wage, came up to about $200 a week, and then they would take out $50 in taxes. That's a lot of money if you only make $200 a week, man. That's like kicking Wednesday and Thursday and eat okay? $50 a week in taxes, man. What do I get for my tax money? Get all the free street light in the world. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, give everybody a candle and give me my $50 back. I hate taxes. I hate checks. I hate the fact they put two amounts of money on your check. You know what I mean? It's like, this the money you bust your ass all week for, and this what you gonna get.
He's not wrong. I'm just saying he's not wrong.
on.
Happy tax day?
It feels wrong saying happy.
I know,
with
that's
that.
the thing. I asked her a little bit earlier, so if we were going to rename tax day, what would we rename it? So send me some suggestions on
It's
that.
FCC compliant.
That's right. It's all right. 7:53 right now. Obviously, the RedState.com team is all over what's happening all over. So, Susie, give us some suggestions for today's reading there on RedState.com when we go on the computer and go online at RedState.com.
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, it may be tax day, but we're covering all kinds of news at Red State, including this one from Sister Told You. This is an amazing story. If you've not seen this video, you need to check it out. Try that in a small town. Wild video shows high school principal take down gunman with his bare hands. This is an amazing, amazing video, and kudos to this high school principal. I think he's from Oklahoma, who basically saved the day. You want to check that article out.
And again, he actually got hit with a bullet, I
yeah,
think,
he got
too.
shot in the
got
leg.
hit in the leg,
Yeah, no, amazing story. This one's kind of interesting in a kind of, I don't know, way. There's no vacancy just yet, but Ted Cruz and Mike Lee are being floated as possible SCOTUS nominees from Ward Clark. Worth checking out, worth pondering. I don't really want to see either of them leave the Senate.
No.
So
I
I think
imagine Donald Trump would want Ted Cruz out of the Senate, but you know,
maybe
they agree more than they disagree.
agree,
but Ted
yeah.
Cruz has a line that he won't cross.
Ted Cruz would be great on the Supreme Court. I just don't know that with Texas Senate situation, I don't know if we want to open that up, but it's worth talking about and certainly worth reading about on Red
Senator
State.
Jasmine Crockett? No, I don't think so.
No, thank you. And last but not least, from yours truly, this broke just yesterday morning right after we got off the air. Boom. D.C. Circuit slams brakes on Boasberg's criminal contempt probe of those AEA flights. This is that ongoing saga about the flights to El Salvador of alleged Trinidad members, and Judge Boasberg's continued attempt to try and grind the administration down on it. Well, the court above him said, stop it. It's kind of an interesting little twisted tale. So
Was
you
it
want to check
kind
it
of
out.
a legal equivalent of
Yes.
right there on the hand?
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so DLW1904 on Rumble says, how about Extortion Day?
Yeah.
Extortion Day. Yeah, there's that.
Rip-off day?
Yeah. Here's the thing is this is the day where I think a lot of the stuff that we talk about in concept, especially, political stuff and campaigns, it becomes very, very real today because there are still people that have to go on to the IRS website or the state website or whatever, and they actually have to click a button and see the money go out of their account. Back in the day, it was write a check, kind of thing. And it gets very real.
It does. It does. I have a suggestion.
Yes.
It's a little long, little wordy. But
Okay.
we fought a war for our independence for this day.
The founding fathers are turning their graves day.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I saw a few other suggestions floating around online. One of them just said, "Realize how little money we actually make, Dave."
Yeah.
Do you think about the amount of money that's taken? I mean, federal taxes, state tax. I mean, and then there's somebody did they do it every year. What's the actual tax freedom day? It's you add up everything you pay in taxes on average, and then what day is it that from here on out you get to keep what you
your
make.
money.
Up until this point, you've worked just for the government, and it's usually into May.
Easily.
Yeah, that you're working for the government instead of yourself.
Everybody's working for the weekend, but they're also working for the government.
Yeah,
Lover boy.
So how about hope the IRS doesn't red flag our questionable deductions day?
That's a good day. Good day. Now there should be a Hallmark card for that.
There should be. Visit the post office for the only time of the year day.
Oh, that's me.
That's you. That's you doing that. Get that postmark.
It should be Tar and Feather Day.
That's fair too.
Hate any Democrat who wants to raise your taxes day?
Hate is a strong word.
It was just suggested on the interwebs.
Strongly disliked.
Yep,
maybe.
just saying. Let's see here. Start the 8-month countdown to get a refund day.
Oh boy.
Just saying that. By the way, the idea is if you get excited because you're going to get a refund, you did it wrong.
Right, you overpaid.
Because you loaned the government money without interest, and then you're going to beg them for the mercy of giving you your own money back.
I'm doing it right in spades.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payment's interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Mediators are moving closer to extending the U.S.-Iran ceasefire due to expire next week. The extension would allow for further diplomacy, which President Trump says is in the cards.
In a phone call with the New York Post, the president said a second round of talks with Iran could be happening over the next 2 days. He initially told the newspaper they would likely be held somewhere in Europe, but later suggested that they could be held again in Pakistan's capital. Last weekend's initial round of talks ended without an agreement on Iran's nuclear ambitions, which the Trump administration says is a central sticking point. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Trump claims that China has agreed not to provide Iran with weapons amid reports that Beijing was weighing such arms transfers. April 15th, tax deadline day. Economist Steve Moore says the refunds are higher this year. He credits Trump tax policy.
People are seeing a nice reduction in their income taxes. People, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, the lower tax rates.
More with the Committee to Unleash Prosperity, tells the Salem Radio Network. The average family gained about roughly $2,000 on a lower tax bill this year. Pro golfer Sergio Garcia apologizes for losing his cool during the final round of the Masters.
Garcia hit a bad tee shot on the second hole and twice slammed his driver into the turf. He also slammed the club against a bench and broke off the head. The Masters had an official issue him a code of conduct warning a few holes later. It's the first time the conduct policy has been issued at the Masters. Garcia says he respects and values everything about the Masters and Augusta National and regrets the way he acted. Bob Agnew reporting.
On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 42 points. NASDAQ futures are flat. The S&P futures 4 points higher ahead of this morning's opening bell. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Advantage Gold, America's #1 precious metals company, is sounding the alarm that a storm is coming and that now is the time to diversify your portfolio before it's too late. That's why we're offering an emergency gold and silver protection kit valued at $49, absolutely free for anyone who calls today at 800-900-8000. This kit includes critical information for investors with a retirement account seeking to own physical gold and silver, but want to do it tax and penalty free. Advantage Gold has helped investors protect and secure their wealth with physical gold and silver since 2014. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 and we'll rush your emergency gold and silver kit plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. See how gold and silver can help you protect and secure your wealth with the help of Advantage Gold. Results vary. Consult your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs towards the lower 80s. A first alert weather day has been issued, as we could see the possibility of some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours, lasting from 2 o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances just southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home, too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, every vote counts. Listen, that is not just a cliche, especially in St. Charles right now. One election in St. Charles absolutely proves that. And how confident are we in the vote counting when we're looking at the August and the November elections? Well, that means that we're looking at what's been happening now, and you've got a chance to look at it for yourself, the whole system and the process yourself. All right, Mike Ferguson here, and I'm joined by St. Charles County Director of Elections, Kurt Bahr. And Kurt, man, it's actually been a while since you and I have run into each other in person. So
it has been a while.
We text every once in a while, but it's good to see you here. And a tie?
A tie.
Seriously, there is a tie in an election, as in the votes have been counted, you've double counted them, and both candidates got the same number of votes. That's amazing.
Yeah, so on election night, the challenger, Chris Kyle, was one vote ahead of the incumbent Bill Otto.
And this is for St. Charles City Council.
This is St. Charles City Ward 1,
Yeah.
and so like 4,700 voters in this ward. But then there was one provisional ballot that was accepted that was in that race, and then the voter for that ballot voted for Bill Otto, making it a tied election. And so now the process has to go through to determine whether or not a random lot chooses the winner, or if a runoff election will be called to determine the winner.
Okay, so that just I want to flesh that out just for a moment or so, because we got some other things. So you got two candidates. They neither one won, neither one lost at this point.
Correct.
And so you were explaining to me that there is a local set of laws that says if they agree, you can roll some dice or draw a number out of a hat or whatever it is. But then a state law has another application here.
Yeah, so St. Charles City is a charter city, and in their charter rules, a tie vote is supposed to be determined by lot. So that could be flipping a coin, rolling dice. There's lots of ways you could choose by lot. However, state law says that while lot is allowed if the candidates agree to it, because it's just cheaper and easier to do it that way, the default is a runoff election for the two candidates that are tied. And so that is, so that the question becomes, does a city charter or this state statute prevail as to determining how the outcome is? Now, if both gentlemen are like, hey, we'll decide by lot, then both avenues work to make that determination. But from what I understand, one or both of these gentlemen won't be happy with that choice.
Sure. And so who's going to make the decision as to which avenue is going to be taken? Is this something that's going to end up in court?
So the city itself would make the determination. Do we say our charter prevails and we're going to go that direction, or do they say no? We're going to defer to statute because it is supreme over the charter. And so the city will make that determination. If a determination is made that one of these candidates doesn't like, I would expect to see this in court. The county, the election authority's office, we are agnostic as to which direction we go. If we're asked to run a runoff, we will totally do that. If it's by lot, then we are done with the process. And so we're waiting to see what the city decides to do and what the courts request of us.
Okay, so otherwise, in the elections that happened a little bit earlier this month, just a week and a half ago or whatever it was, little bit. I was watching your social media, and it looks like a little bit higher turnout than we typically get in April. That's not saying much. We've still got a fairly low voter turnout. But when you look at just the administrative, not talking about who won and who lost and anything like that, you're kind of the referee on those things. There have been times in the past where there have been some glitches and, there were issues years ago with people not showing up to do the poll working on time and all this kind of stuff. Were there glitches? Were there things that needed to be ironed out this last time around?
Honestly, this April election was incredibly well run and executed. Every single polling place was open up on time. We had a full complement of election judges who showed up. We had our standby judges ready to go to fill that, and we had to send people away because our complement of election judges was complete. We had a few technical issues, which is a normal thing for any election. My techs, I go out and take care of minor issues, nothing affecting the election in any way.
Yeah, because that's an important thing because there's a big debate over the technical side of the vote counting on this. Where were the technical glitches, and you're saying for sure this did not affect knowing how the votes were counted?
Right. So the machines that we use in St. Charles County are older. We bought them before I became the director back in 2014, and so they need a little extra love from time to time. And so there was a few that they were jamming up, so that just required a maintenance tech go in, clean up the machine with the alcohol wipe is really all it took, and then it functioned for the rest of the day. So like I said, very minor technical issue in that regard. And so we had that. Towards the end of the day, I had a couple polling places where they're like, "Hey, we're getting low on ballots," so we ran ballots out to them. Sure. It wasn't that they ran out of ballots; it's just that the election judge is like, "Well, this stack is getting kind of low, and we want to make sure we have enough." And so we had plenty of ballots for everybody at every polling place. And so the technical side of things, this election ran really smooth, and we had all of our polling places shut down at the right time. We had one polling place, they're a little late getting their election results to me because they were struggling with packing up the material the right way. And instead of just calling us and going, "Hey, we're trying to figure out how to do this," they just, they didn't call and they didn't ask and they just figured out themselves, but it took them, good extra half hour over everybody else. So it didn't affect the reporting of the election in any way other than, my last report, before 10 p.m. was a little later than I would have personally liked just because they were, they were trying to put everything away perfectly instead of just getting me in the results. Yeah.
Okay. So with the vote counting, and so because obviously we know that there's the debate going on about this with machines and all this sort of thing. Give me the Cliff's Notes version. I mean, I live in St. Louis County, but I'm still doing a paper ballot. It's going into a machine. A machine's counting it. What's the level of human eyes and hands on these votes so that the accusation is well, the machines can be programmed or the machines can be hacked or all that sort of stuff. Those are the accusations. How secure are the votes, and how do we know that our vote for candidate A is actually going to candidate A?
So before every election, every county, St. Louis County, St. Charles County included, we'll do a logic and accuracy test that we call the public test, because we invite the public to come in and see that the machine properly counts every vote counted and doesn't miss any votes and doesn't add any votes. So we do that part ahead of the election. And then after the election, we have what's called the manual recount, where we randomly pick at least 5% of our precincts, as well as any races that were within 1%. So in our case, it was St. Charles City. So we randomly picked a number of precincts and we manually recounted those. And then one of the candidates representatives from the St. Charles Ward 1, they also came in to watch this process, and we had to pick one of the precincts for that race specifically, and we manually recounted that, and we showed them, our bipartisan team counted the ballots, and they said that the election net result was identical to the hand count. And then for the few ballots that were either a write-in was marked or nothing was marked, an undervote, I showed them the ballots. Look, it clearly indicates there was no voter intent here that would indicate a vote for one candidate or the other. Somebody wrote in the same name on 3 different lines on that particular ballot. Whether that was the voter's name or their friend's name, who knows? But it wasn't for either of the candidates. And then the ones where it was an undervote, it truly was an undervote. They didn't put an X next to the name and not fill in the dot. Right. And so those are the types of things. If a full hand count is ordered by the courts, those are the types of things that you look for to see if the machine count is off. Not because the machine didn't count the dots, but because the voter creatively voted the ballot without filling in the dot.
Okay, and so at this point, has anybody in St. Charles challenged any of the votes from any of the campaigns or the parties or anything like that?
So I certified the election yesterday and gave that certification to St. Charles City. And so the clock started yesterday. They have a week in order to sue for a full manual recount, except the law says that the losing party can sue. In a tied election, there technically is no loser.
Right.
So I don't know if either of them can sue for a manual recount, which, if they do and the courts order it, we'll do it. It's not a big deal. But I think that the real process for this is either choosing by lots or calling for a runoff election where only these 2 candidates can be on the ballot is probably the direction that it will go.
Yeah, and that's a city decision anyway. You just kind of wait for them to let you know how to do it.
Exactly.
Or if you're involved at all, apparently.
Yeah. So the county election authorities are operating on behalf of the municipalities in these April elections.
We're visiting with Kurt Bahr, the Director of Elections in St. Charles County. You've got an event coming up. I want to get to that because that's coming up in June. I want people to know about that. We did have a question come in. And that was there's some talk about moving like the school board elections, and some would say all of the April elections into probably the November. I guess it could be August, but probably November elections as well. Does that affect how you would administer the elections? Do you have an opinion one way or the other? Pros, cons? What's the difference on those?
Yeah, so Senator Schnelting has Senate Bill 1002 that originally he wanted to move all school board elections into the November election so that it was decided in a higher turnout election. That was his goal. But there was a lot of senators from rural areas like, hey, we don't like this idea. And so the bill got pared down to affect only St. Charles County school districts, with the exception of Washington School District, because it's both Franklin and St. Charles County. And then it would require that our school district elections be moved to the April elections, and that the 3-year term of office would change to 4 years.
April or move to November?
I would move to November. I'm sorry. So the April school board election would move to November, and then the 3-year school board term would change to a 4-year school board term to coincide with the biannual November general elections. And so that is the bill that the Senate has passed and is going to go over to the House to make that determination. Should one county school board races be done differently than all the other counties? And if the statute is changed, then we'll administer it. I have no personal problem or glee or happiness for this, because I like consistency around the whole state, and so one county doing things differently is just an oddity that, like, why are we doing it this way? But if the legislature says we're going to do this as a test case to see is this helpful for the rest of the state, then I'm welcome. St. Charles County can be the guinea pig in this. My concern isn't for the school board elections. My concern is actually the April elections for our city and other jurisdictions. We are already seeing low turnout. 14% is our average. 21% for this election is a high that we haven't seen in over 10 years. And so would that cause, with not having school board races, would that cause our April elections to even have a smaller turnout?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is, my concern is how will voters be affected in the April election if, honestly, for the most part, the biggest and most consistent election, our school board races, aren't on the ballot.
Elections are decided by those who show up. You know, that's how that works. Kurt, I know we're a little over time. I do want to ask you about this event, though, because we're just going to go over by a minute or so here. You got an event coming up in June.
Yes.
One, you can meet the candidates you were telling me, but also for those who have questions about how the process works, particularly with the machines and they can come see all this. What's coming up?
Yeah, so St. Charles County Election Authority is going to do our first ever open house. So we're going to invite the public as well as all of the candidates on the August ballot into our office on Sunday, June 14th. This is Flag Day. And we're going to make this a very family-friendly educational opportunity where voters can meet the candidates that they'll be voting on in August, but they can also have a tour of the Election Authority office, see behind the scenes and see how we do the auditing, see how we do the chain of custody, all that. We're also going to set up a polling place, and we have a ballot that we made for school kids, so you can actually vote a real ballot, put that through the machine, and see how that process works. We have our ADA compliant machines. We'll have those out so people can see how those work, and then we'll be able to answer questions about how we handle our absentee ballots by mail, how we handle the chain of custody of all of our stuff, and then allow people to meet with all of the different candidates at the Election Authority office. And then we're going to call this Sundays on Sunday, because I'm going to buy a bunch of ice cream cones for the kids and try to make it fun as well as educational, and try to get a lot of people to it. And other jurisdictions have done this across the country, and they found it to be very helpful to just add an educational element, as well as to try to get the younger people to see that elections isn't a scary thing. It's something that they can and should do.
Okay, and is that something you got RSVP for? Just kind of show up that day?
We're going to ask for an RSVP just so we can get a head count, but it's show up. Nobody's going to be turned away if they don't RSVP.
All right, sounds good. All right, Kurt Bahr, St. Charles County Director of Elections. Let's give out the website, social media. People want to connect with the office. What's the way to do it?
It's sccmo.org/election authority.
Easy enough. All right, Kurt, good talking to you again, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yep. We've got some explosive, very, very disturbing accusations against Eric Swalwell. This is in addition to what we were telling about yesterday. It's dark stuff, but we'll give you the update on that just ahead.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I have smelled alcohol on your breath. Anything else?
No.
No.
No. Besides my meds.
On NewsTalkSTL.
Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up, get up.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to hear you.
Hey, Dad, isn't it good to see ya?
Yep, but with smoke alarms, we need to hear them.
If one alarm is downstairs, you might not hear it upstairs.
At school, everyone hears the fire alarm.
That's why we install hardwired smoke alarms that all go off together, just like school.
Smoke alarms done the right way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
You are not your diagnosis.
A medical chart is not your identity.
And vision loss does not define you.
Your drive shows who you are.
And you are not alone.
Because we are driven too.
To be a beacon of strength.
A champion of courage.
An advocate for hope.
You are not alone.
Because we are stronger together.
We drive the research for the cures we are finding.
We're fighting macular degeneration,
retinitis pigmentosa,
Usher syndrome,
and the entire spectrum of blinding retinal diseases.
We fund.
We fight.
We win.
We
are the foundation fighting blindness.
Together, we are fighting blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
All right, Sam Page is suing. And he's wanting a judge to step in and stop something from happening that hasn't happened, and we don't know what it is that he wants stopped, but he wants it stopped, okay?
So preemptively wants to stop something that may or may not even come to fruition.
Right. And what that is, I don't know. But we'll tell you about that. Also, new accusations against Eric Swalwell. These things are disturbing. What's really bad is they're not shocking. They should be shocking that this would happen to somebody, allegedly, but they're not shocking with the more and more we find out about this guy. And the Cardinals go to extra innings again. All right, 8:24. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump today.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
Okay, Sam Page is suing, saying that the county charter should basically not be followed while he's on an upcoming international trip. Okay, so the charter and a related county ordinance say that the county council chair is the acting executive when that office holder is unavailable or otherwise unable to perform the duties, okay? That has been over time understood to mean when you are physically not available to come in and be somebody doing the job. Page is scheduled to fly to England this weekend. He's asking a court to block Councilwoman Rita Hurd Days from becoming the acting executive, and here's part of his accusations.
Well, the county council is attempting to do something that's never been done before in the history of the county, and that is seizing executive authority while the county executive is still in office.
Just a little bit ago, Jerome and Susie and I spoke with County Councilman Mike Archer, and he has no idea what power Sam Page thinks is going to be seized. And when Sam Page was asked about that at the county council meeting, Mike tells us that he did not have an answer. Page's argument is that he's accessible by phone. You can call somebody in England. And he says if the court does not rule in his favor, he's going to cancel the trip. And so essentially, Susie looked it up. Sam Page is arguing that an ordinance that was passed related to that county charter provision should be either struck down or have a temporary restraining order against it or something. It's so confusing. We don't even know what Sam Page is talking about when it comes to the legalities of this, but we'll see what happens.
And Mike Archer is a very smart guy. He's very active with the county council. So if he's even like, we don't know what Sam Page is talking about here, that's
it's just so bizarre.
Not a good sign.
Okay, we know Eric Swalwell is leaving Congress. I don't know when his actual last day on the payroll is going to be. Accused of sexual assault, accused of other sexual misconduct, And on Tuesday, for the first time, Lana Drews announced that she is one of the alleged victims of Eric Swalwell. She says that she had contact with him in 2018 while working as a model and also working for a software company. She describes the night where she says that she was drugged by Swalwell and then taken back to his hotel room.
He raped me, and he choked me. And while he was choking me, I lost consciousness. And I thought I died.
Now, this is a separate situation from accusations of sexual assault in 2024, which were in New York. This one was in California. And Lana Drews and her attorneys, they say that she did not report it at the time and she did not go get a medical examination, but she has a bunch of notes and evidence that she told other people about it. So this is one of 5 women who have accused him of some level of misconduct all the way up to actual rape. Not all 5 are accusing him of rape. Others are accusing him of other things, but it's pretty disturbing, dark stuff that's even being alleged.
And it's tragic and terrible that we only know about these two, Tony Gonzalez and Swalwell, right now. But the more that I hear about this kind of stuff coming out, the more it reminds me and makes me mad about how many of our own Congress members on both sides voted against revealing who's been accessing slush monies.
There's a congressional slush fund that is there and funded by you and I. By the way, it's tax day. Look at how much you're losing in money. That is there to pay out settlements to protect Congress critters from accusations or confirmations of sexual misconduct. There's actually a congressional fund for that. And like Jerome said, there was a bill to release the details of who was protected by that, and Congress voted no.
And it was not just to release names of people that might have accessed it. It quite literally was like including court notes and other evidence to help clear people that may have actually been falsely accused, and they still said no.
No. All right, Vice President J.D. Vance admitting that many young Americans don't support the U.S. war in Iran.
Addressing a Turning Point USA event in Georgia, the vice president said he understands why a lot of young voters don't love the Trump administration's Middle East policy. But he urged conservative activists who disagree with the president on the war to avoid becoming disengaged. He also said Donald Trump wants the U.S. to reach a grand bargain with Iran. The development of Iran's nuclear program remains a key sticking point. Greg Clugston, Washington.
This is going to put some pressure on the administration to wrap this war up as promised in a very, very short time, because those midterms are coming a little bit closer. And it's not, I think it's a lot of disillusionment on this. It's just one issue that the vice president's talking about, which is true. However, it's a massive one. And it's not that they're going to go start voting for the Democrats, but they may not show up in the elections. And that's one of the threats.
There are quite a few groups within what I would call the coalition of the right that are very much dissatisfied with even just the lack of honesty with what's going on, that I see people actively calling, like, you don't have to vote Democrat, do not vote Democrat, but you're not obligated to vote for somebody that you feel has either disrespected you and or that does not value your vote.
All right, a couple quick sports notes here. The Cardinals walk it off in the 10th inning. Nathan Church's sacrifice fly finished off a 6-5 win over the Guardians at Busch Stadium, not the Indians, the Guardians. Ivan Herrera had a home run. J.J. Weatherholt had 2 home runs. And so far, the Cardinals have won every single extra game inning they've been in this season. I think this was the 5th one, I think.
Wow.
The last game of the series starts at 12:15, weather permitting. I hope the weather holds off because I'm going.
Hey, you can see Mike Ferguson.
That's right. My daughter and I and Chris Arps and his wife, we're going to be there. So if you're around Section 132, say hi. We'll be there if the weather allows that game to happen. They are not going to the playoffs, but the Blues are trying to finish strong despite being down 3-0 in the first period. Oh, boy. They ended up beating the Penguins, though. Final score 7-5 last night. That was the final home game of the season. Both Dylan Holloway and Jimmy Snuggerud had 2 goals each. That is 3 wins in a row for the Blues. They wrap up the season Thursday in Utah.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking highs towards the lower 80s. A first alert weather day has been issued, as we could see the possibility of some strong to severe storms during the afternoon hours, lasting from 2 o'clock all the way towards 1 a.m. throughout the overnight hours. Then we're going to be tracking showers pushing out into Thursday. Could be seeing a few more isolated chances just southeast of the St. Louis metro by the afternoon hours. Then by Friday, most of the day going to be looking dry, highs towards the upper 80s. Could see some overnight chances of showers and storms. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Fox News commentary with Tommy Lahren next.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's Tommy Lahren.
I love Democrats, though. With a straight face, they'll go on all of these Sunday shows. No matter what it is, they will just root for the opposite of whatever President Trump's doing. If President Trump is dropping bombs, they hate the bombs. If President Trump wants to have negotiations, then they hate the negotiations, and they're a failure. And they want him to talk, and then now I just saw Gavin Newsom tweeted out, oh, J.D. Vance is a lightweight, and all these things. It's like, you keep saying, or at least last Sunday you were saying, diplomacy, 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 ceasefire. They're never happy with anything. And I think, to me, because I'm someone who believes in this president, and I'm one of those people that was no endless wars, right? End to endless wars. But when I heard President Trump with Maria Bartiromo say, listen, the economy, yes, it's not as good as we want it to be. Yes, we're going to take a hit, but would you prefer Iran to have a nuclear weapon? When President Trump says they were that close and I had to do something, I tend to believe him.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area, and I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way, and right now it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
This year, America turns 250, and NewsTalk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. NewsTalk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Doghouse Bar and Grill, Augusta Chamber of Commerce, and Ruthie's Family Restaurant. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the NewsTalk STL app.
Anywhere.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on NewsTalk STL.
I think that tax day creates, at least temporarily, more conservatives and libertarians than any other day on the calendar.
You think so?
Even if for now, because people, of course, the tradition used to be before you could just do it all online and all that sort of stuff. You have to do the paperwork and you'd have to, write a check and you grumbled out loud. And then there used to be big, long lines at the post office, and the post office would have to have people standing by, for you to drop your tax returns off and get the postmark on the thing, because it just had to be postmarked by April 15th. and then somebody to, take the full, trash, or not trash can, but the full mailboxes, and keep them, empty so people could drop other stuff in there. And people understood when they looked at that bottom line, I have to write a check for X amount of dollars, or I overpaid by X amount of dollars. And there are so many people who make the mistake of going, oh, thank goodness, I get money back. That means you gave the government, or the government took more money than it should have from you, and you get it back without any interest or penalty. And if you just had it in a bank account, you might have made a couple percent.
You might have made like $3.
Maybe you made a few bucks, but it's a few bucks that you don't get now. For those of you who work a lot of contract jobs and 1099 and all that kind of, you're probably paying. You probably just, and that's why a lot of people go to paying quarterly. There was an argument, and I mentioned this too. I think it was Ross Marchand, and we were talking to him earlier about tax day stuff. Is that at one point they didn't just deduct the taxes from your paycheck. You actually had to write the check. And there have been proposals, in Congress to go back to that. And this was sold to the American people as, it's just more convenient. We'll do the paperwork. We'll save you the time. It's the same amount of money. You're not losing anything. We'll just deduct it and don't worry about it. But what we now know is so much of that conversation is, if people don't feel it, they just adjust to what they're getting and they stop complaining about it. And it's easier to go get more taxes, which is why when Donald Trump had the first Trump tax breaks back in his first administration, all of a sudden the entire country is like, wait a minute, there's more money in my account. We did that. We're like, wait a minute, where'd this money come from? Well, because the way that they did it was they reduced the amount that they were taking from you per check. So you felt it and saw it in an immediate way. And millions of people saw the benefit of tax cuts. They didn't mess around with, we're going to change this deduction or that deduction, and that way you can possibly get a bigger refund. They said, no, we're going to stop taking it on the front end. So the argument that I heard is, and I think it's a good one, is, you know what? If we stopped the tax deductions and you actually had to write a check at the end of every month, or you had to go online with your debit card and pay it at the end of the month, then you feel and see directly how much of your labor is just for the government. And then all of a sudden, the fraud in Minnesota, all of a sudden, the fraud in California, all of a sudden, that $1 million program to study transgender praying mantises or whatever stupid thing some college
shrimp treadmills.
Yeah, all of a sudden, that pork book that the different activist groups put out, or Rand Paul's, what's he call it, the complaint? What do you call it? The holiday?
The porktivist?
Yeah, but whatever it is. Yeah. And so airing of grievances or whatever. All of that stuff takes on a very different look and feel. It's not as funny anymore because it's not abstract. If you've got to, at the 30th or 31st of every month, go on to the state of Missouri website, the state of Illinois website, IRS, and you've got to actually pay it. You take it out of your account after you've earned it, after you've received it, and you have to give it away under penalty of law. Then all of a sudden, the question doesn't become, should we have tax reform and tax cuts? It's, how are you going to do it? Because this is BS. Because we see it in a different way.
I think maybe potentially that might work on a few people. Just from, again, talking more, trying to get more in line with what the Democrats in Missouri and Illinois and Kansas and basically the Midwest in general are thinking right now. It seems more so it's seeing that, and then them seeing how much that they are having, again, because it's your life being taken from you. It's your energy, it's your time, it's your blood, sweat, and tears. It's all of the accumulation of skills that you've gathered that the government says, thank you for all of that. I will take some of that.
Mm-hmm.
What they instead,
not may I have it, I will take it.
And if you don't give it to me, then guess what happens? Yep. So it's really mob boss behavior. But the way that the current Democratic mindset is that they are convinced, if only people paid their fair share, I wouldn't have to pick up the slack. Not, I would still pay this. Now we're just making them tax the more productive people of society. it's quite literally this mindset that if we just made the rich give over all of their money, then we wouldn't have to pay any of this, because they think that that's how somehow government works.
Well, because they do, the left looks at it for, in a lot of ways, what it is, which is a wealth redistribution.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the government shut down over the food stamp stuff. We saw the complaints over the, over the restricting which things could be paid for with tax dollars. The reality is that the government knows that if you are required at the end of the month or the quarter or whatever it is to actively go give them the money in taxes that they require you to pay. I always hate it when people say, well, I owe the taxes. They're taking it.
You don't owe them nothing.
I mean, it's not a moral debt that you have. It's a legal requirement. So I always try to avoid saying that, just because But they know that there's a lot of people that will go, no, you're going to have to wait. I have a light bill to pay. My car broke down. I have to get to work. My kid had to go to urgent care. I have to pay. And people will put themselves over government, but the system we have right now places government over people.
Yeah.
But the left will argue, to your point, well, no, government is putting these people first because they don't have enough and we have to go grab it from somebody else. Although we know that historically what happens in a truly free society is that when people keep what they earn and they make, we're more generous and we're smarter and there's more accountability than when any government program, as evidenced by the grift and the fraud that we're seeing in the different states right now. And it's not just in blue states. We had some in Missouri here just about 3 weeks ago, fraud off of a Department of Education program that had to do with daycares and stuff, much smaller scale, but it happened here too.
Speaking of Democrats, what they think, so our good friend Scooter says most American taxpayers get a lot of value from their tax contributions, and then goes on to say the wealthy don't need Social Security or Medicare. I would almost argue nobody needs Social Security or Medicare unless you are a very unfortunate individual.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the amount that gets taken out of your paycheck right now, I think it's called FICA, and you were to remove that from Social Security, where you only get 85% at most, because there are talks of having to cut the benefits later, and you put that into an investment account instead of losing 85%, you would actually probably gain more than you're contributing.
Social Security was never supposed to be a universal program. But boy, did it help win a lot of votes when it expanded, because what happened is people were saying, wait a minute, why am I paying into it and I'm never going to get it? Because people objected to the wealth redistribution. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing is, I'm not at retirement age. I'm 54. So if I were to maximize my Social Security, what I receive, I need to not claim anything until 67, as I understand it. So 13 more years. Okay. But here's the thing. I've been paying in since I was 15 years old, I think it was. So by the time that I get to that age, I've worked 50 years. And the money I've spent into that's gone. It's spent on other people before me.
People think that it goes back to, no, it's being used
You don't
for the
get an account,
currently
right.
retiring generation.
So in order for me to get back what I've put in, they have to take money from younger people. Let me tell you what I'd rather do. I'd rather say, let's take all the money that I put in. If I can get a little bit of interest for the trouble of not having my money, great. But if I just took just the principle of what I put in, you give it back to me right now, I invest that, I will be able right now to make sure that I am going to be able to retire at 65 is what I kind of hope. And if I do that, I will happily release Social Security from any claim that I may have for their retirement program. But they're never going to make that trade. But I would do it. I would do it right now. Give me all the money back that I've paid in over by this time right now, 40, 45 years. Let me be responsible for myself. And I'll let you off the hook for government taking care of me. So, and this is what makes, it was Scooter, right? Who said that?
Yeah, who goes on to say, has SSA ever failed to pay out? It is possible to opt out, and it is not possible for the majority of Americans to opt out of Social Security.
Well, I'll opt out if I can get all my money back. I'm not going to, I mean, I've had the money taken from me. The only way I'm getting it back is if I claim it when I get that age.
So if you want to opt out, you must apply for via the IRS form 4361, which only, I guess, applies to specific religious groups and clergy such as Amish. So,
which I'm not.
Yeah. So no, there is. I would opt out. Right. I would even say keep everything I've contributed right now. Keep every cent that I've ever contributed up till now, and then let me opt out and not pay another cent and do it.
See, but there
Can't
are
do it.
when you talk about opt out of like paying into the system, but also not getting anything back. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'll opt out if I get my money back, and then you take care of you, I take care of me.
I would opt out right now. You can keep whatever I contributed. Don't even give it back to me. Just stop charging me for it.
Give drones to me.
And then don't charge me no more. Leave me alone.
Exactly. But one of the things that had me thinking about a lot of stuff was, and I've talked about this book before. It's an old classic from I think the 1970s. Harry Browne, Browne, which we've got on the News Talk STL bookstore. One of the most poignant questions that the late Harry Browne asked was, "Would you be willing to give up your favorite government program if it meant you didn't have to pay taxes again?" So would you be willing to give up your favorite state government program if you didn't have to pay state income taxes again? Would you be willing to give up your favorite federal program, whatever that is, if you didn't have to pay those taxes and they had to figure out a different way to voluntarily cover it? And most people instinctively go, well, yeah. And then they go, well, I really like that program. And so this is the day that people feel the impact. April 30th, 15 days from right now, at the Lodge de Bahr, I'm going to be moderating a town hall event with Senator Nick Schroer, with State Representative Ben Keithley, with representatives from Americans for Prosperity, with representatives from Mo Tax Relief Now. They're going to be I know there's going to be other lawmakers there and other people. If you agree or disagree with eliminating the Missouri state income tax, this is not a campaign. This is a discussion. If you disagree, bring your questions. I'm the one who's going to be deciding which questions are asked, and I will make sure your questions, because you know what? I've got questions on how we're going to do this. So check out Americans for Prosperity's Missouri page. You can find that link at newstalkstl.com. RSVP there. It's a free event, but you got to RSVP because we got to know how many chairs we're going to put out. So do that, but it is free. We'd love to see you there, regardless of which side of this issue that you're on.
Hello, St. Louis. This is Everett Jones of Jones Air and Water Treatment. I know you're ready for some summer weather. While we still have the spring to get through, this is a great time to think about your swimming pools. That's right, now is a great time to save on EcoSmart salt-free, chlorine-free, acid-free pool products. Call now and get 50% off glass-packed media and 15% off all other EcoSmart products. Call now at 636-899-1040, now through the end of April.
Looking for your perfect country escape? Or maybe it's time to sell your horse property or farm? Meet Gina Parmentier with Realty Net Service Realtors. As a second-generation broker with 29 years of experience, Gina specializes in horse properties, farms, and rural real estate throughout Franklin County and the surrounding St. Louis area. Whether buying or selling, Gina knows the land, and she knows how to get results. Call 314-504-5409. That's 314-504-5409. Realty Net Service Realtors, where country living meets expert service.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, does having more economic freedom make a difference in people's lives, such as maybe helping reduce poverty?
It definitely makes a difference. Economic freedom is critical for fostering well-being and prosperity. It enables people to make their own choices and pursue their own interest, like choosing careers, starting businesses, and innovating to make the world better. It thrives in environments that empower people, promote competition, and protect property rights, all while being supported by limited and healthy government. Economic freedom is a catalyst for generating higher incomes, greater wealth, more opportunities, better access to education, and improved health at all levels of society. It makes a difference.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Boy, nothing positive at all about that Francis Howell School District School Board election. Nothing positive. Nothing. Oh, wait. Jane Pushkar has some positive take.
Oh, good.
Let's talk to her about that Wednesday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Stereotype, monotype.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, some of tax day just gets me and a lot of other people worked up,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, the rest of the time it's conceptual, it's ethereal, and now it's pretty real right now.
Look at all this money that I could use to build my future. Oh, wait, no, it has to go to the government to pay for other people that are not as positive tax contributing as I am. Sometimes.
And there are going to be other people who say, but what's going to happen is if you're let out of that system, then you're not going to be responsible enough, and then somebody's going to have to take care of you when you're old and can't work anymore.
And that's called it's my fault.
Yep.
I don't have all the math, but I've heard people smarter than me about this. People are not saving and being as fiscally responsible now because they are like, well, when I retire, I'll get some money back out of it, and that's hurting everybody, and that's ridiculous. No, let me fail on my merits. Let me succeed on my merits. Stop giving my money to people that don't work as hard as I do.
Yeah, well, like I said, and I know somebody's got some thoughts on this here. If right now I had the deal, and I was offered, I will get every penny back that I've had taken from me from Social Security. Now, what's fair is that I should get something in interest or something that I would have had in capital gains or something like that, or interest. But if I just get the dollar amount, just get the principal amount, I've just loaned them interest-free money for almost 40 years now. But if I get that back right now, and the trade-off is I agree to not make a claim on Social Security retirement benefits, but I get every penny back right now, I'm taking that deal. I'm calling my buddy Eric Robert over at Stiefel saying, hey, I'm adding to what I've got there, and then I'm responsible for myself, and I will do a better job than the government will ever do for me. And then, by the way, I'm investing in businesses and I'm investing in things, and that would actually be good for the economy because it's removing a layer of government out of it, and it would actually invest in more businesses and create more wealth all the way around. Yeah. Imagine that. All right, who we got here?
We got Scott.
Hey, Scott, you're on News Talk STL.
Good morning, folks. I think everyone should have to pay estimates. If you did not have the taxes taken out and you got your check in its entirety and you had to keep the tax money aside, people would be in the streets with pitchforks and demand changes from the government. The other thing is that all elections should be held either the day before or the day after taxes are collected, so people have it in their mind what a screw job the folks who are supposed to represent them have done to them.
I actually really like that idea. And when you get your refund back, it should have a breakdown of which politicians supported which measures that are causing you to lose your tax money towards that, so people know specifically why are you taking my money and how do I get rid of you from government.
Yeah, well, that's I'm sure Musk and his brilliant friends.
Hey Scott, start over again. The phone line was breaking up like crazy on you. We did not hear. Well, I hold you responsible for that phone line, Scott. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Elon Musk and some of his friends can probably do a calculation.
Yeah, we're going to have to. Scott, Soros the Gremlin has climbed into our system again. So I am sorry, but Scott, the point's well taken. Absolutely. Yeah, putting election day right after tax day. Oh, yeah, that would change some things. That's for sure. And it would also put pressure on the politicians like, hey, we need to raise taxes. Doing the whole no, the motion. Like, no, stop it up. Knock it off.
But the fair share, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. And see, here's the thing is that there are legitimate functions of government that we have to pay for. That's why, but we need to get back to looking at taxes as a necessary evil that covers only the most basic of things that has a legitimate covered in the Constitution of your state or obviously the federal Constitution, that sort of thing that is legitimate and somebody's got to pay for it. The biggest question is what should government be doing and what should government not be doing? Where does personal responsibility extend and where does it end and then government take over? And those are the fundamental questions that drive how much of this cost, and then that's the fundamental question as to how much of your money that you work for are you allowed to keep, because government has first claim. We get what's left over. We get what government decides to not claim, and the whole thinking is backwards.
Yeah, I paid taxes from the time I started working in Illinois until I moved out of the state when I was about 26. But during that time, there were periods where I quite literally did not have a place to live. I did not, I was struggling to even keep a job going while I was going through school, which I paid for myself. And I could not access government programs that I paid into because of whatever nonsense, ludicrous reasons they were coming up with. Meanwhile, there were people that I knew how to game the system, and they were getting food stamps, or they were able to get on assisted living. They were able to get, what helped me? Private charity. Being able to go somewhere and say, hey, look, I can't get government assistance. I say, we have this problem all the time. Just come on in. We'll help you. That's why I try to do more volunteer work now, to give back to the system, because private charities have done so much more for me and people I know than any government program will do.
Yeah, and this is, again, I talk about it a lot, government first thinking versus people first thinking. And right now, that's just a lot more real to a lot of people than what other things do. But is it government first thinking? Is it people first thinking? That is the driving factor between basically every tax issue that we have out there and every government program. There are things that we have to pay for that are legitimate, but there's a whole lot of stuff that's not the legitimate place of government that we're being forced to pay for because politicians wanted to buy votes from somebody by look at this great program and look at this benefit.
And sometimes they inflate the budgets and they're overpaying for things that don't need to be paid like that.
They wouldn't do that.
I'm just speaking nonsense. Sorry,
except
Mike.
in Minnesota and California and Illinois and St. Louis and